A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you James Mason and Pamela Collino in Agatha Christie's Where There's a Will, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Friends, have you ever been in a dilemma? I mean, in a fix, like having to get started in a hurry and your motor won't turn over? Well, what you need is an Autolite Stay Full battery, that dandy dynamic battery you can definitely depend on. Why, by Cornelius, an Autolite Stay Full battery needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. You can say bravura for that Aquapura. Plenty of extra liquid reserve. Yes, sirree. And it has extra plates in every cell. That means longer life and stronger life. What's more, those plates are protected against loss by fiberglass insulation. I can't say enough about Autolite Stay Full batteries, those marvelous marvels with more liquid reserve than Hollywood has stars. So get wise. Get an Autolite Stay Full. Remember, you're right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents James Mason and Pamela Collino in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
And now, Mr. Jepson, you really must let me make you a whiskey and soda. I have some excellent scotch.
Never mind that, Ridgway. I've come to find out when you can raise 10,000 pounds.
I see. Yes, I see. Well, Mr. Jepson, 10,000 pounds is a great deal of money.
It's what's needed to cover your notes.
Yes, that's right. But you know, Mr. Jepson, you might just let me write you one more IOU and try again.
Your luck's run out, Ridgway.
Oh, well, I wasn't much of a gambler anyhow, was I? Perhaps it's just as well I've learned my lesson. How long, Mr. Jepson, would you say I have to raise the money?
4 weeks.
I see, 4 weeks. And if I should fail to raise the money? I see. Well, you make yourself very clear, Mr. Jepson. But then perhaps all's not lost. Mrs. Harter, my aunt, has had the foresight to draw up a new will making me her heir. The money was to go to a niece, my cousin Miriam, but now a new will's been drawn up. Aunt Mary finds me much more satisfactory than poor Miriam. The very spirit of solicitude I am, forever inquiring about her health, about her poor weak heart. 4 weeks. Is that right, Mr. Jepson?
That's right, Ridgway. Or else.
I see. Or else. That's when it began. That, plus the fortunate circumstance of the new will in my favor, decided me on my plan. Now, murder wouldn't look right. Nobody else living in the house but Aunt Mary and I, and Elizabeth, the maid. And since I would benefit by 40,000 pounds, no, murder would not look right. Besides, I was fond of Aunt Mary. Well, a day or so after Mr. Jepson's visit, there occurred to me a rather whimsical idea for a practical joke. The first thing was to determine the degree of weakness of Aunt Mary's weak heart. And so I arranged an appointment for her with Dr. Menel, the heart specialist in Harley Street.
Just have a chair, Mr. Ridgway.
Thank you, Dr. Menel.
Now, Mr. Ridgway, as you requested, I've gone over your Aunt Mrs. Harter thoroughly.
Yes?
And there is a heart weakness.
How dreadful.
But not terribly serious, Charles, Dr. Manel says.
But my poor dear Aunt Mary.
Dear Charles.
Naturally, you're shocked, Mr. Ridgway, but with the least care, she'll live to be 90, I should think. However, her mind must be kept well distracted.
Mind distracted?
Yes, distraction for the mind and no sudden shocks. That's most important. No sudden shocks.
I see. Well, thank you, Doctor.
Not at all. Out this way, my private exit. No use going through the waiting room again, eh? Well, good day, Mrs. Harter.
Good day, Doctor.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Oh, I say, Ridgway.
Yes?
I minimized your aunt's condition just a bit. Didn't want to alarm her. You, understand.
Yes, of course.
But what I said about no shocks, no frights, most important. A good fright might very well carry her off.
I see. I see. Well, Thank you, Doctor. The next step was the radio. Aunt Mary must have a radio.
But, Charles, you know I don't care for newfangled things. We've got on quite well without a wireless. I don't see why we should have one now.
But don't you remember what Dr. Manel said, Aunt Mary? The mind distracted, well distracted. Those were his very words. You know, I'm only thinking of your heart.
I know you are, dear Charles.
That's better, Aunt Mary. That's more like yourself.
You are a comfort to me, Charles.
Thank you, Aunt Mary. Now, about the radio.
But really,
Now. You really ought to trust my judgment. I'm a bit of an expert on radio, you know. Before the war, I even had a small sender station of my own. Some of the equipment's still in one of my boxes somewhere about. So you see, I know.
But the waves, Charles, the electric waves, they might affect me.
There's no more electricity about it than there is about an electric light. Radio waves aren't electric.
But, Charles, well, I must say it makes a frightful noise.
We'll have it tuned in a minute. Here we are.
What is it?
Madrid propaganda. Yes, France. What do you think of that? You can tune in the whole world. You see, Aunt Mary, radio waves converging from all over the world on this little box. From Madrid, Paris, New York, and beyond. Beyond. Who knows how far beyond?
Well, I must say, Charles, you're quite poetic about it.
Am I? Yes, I suppose I am. That was the first inkling I had that my little practical joke was going to be fun. The acting and coaxing poor dear Aunt Mary along bit by bit. Every evening she'd sit by the radio listening to the news on the BBC Home Service and the classical music on the third program. Then, one morning, I attached a wire into the radio while she was still in bed, ran it along under the carpet into the small anteroom of the sitting room where the radio stood, took the hand microphone left over from my amateur sending days and hooked it to the other end of the wire. And everything was all ready. That evening, I backed the car out of the garage and started off for my regular Wednesday evening of bridge. But I drove only a short way, then parked behind a hedge and walked back to the house. I let myself in the side door and went into the small room off the sitting room where Aunt Mary sat alone listening to the radio. It was the third program, a program of Beethoven. I opened the door the slightest crack. The moment had come, and I felt my heart beating with strange emotion. I saw in my mind's eye Aunt Mary and the dimly lit sitting room, and I almost felt the mood she must be feeling as she sat dreamily immersed in the shifting strains of music. I picked up the microphone and... Mary. Can you hear me, Mary? This is Patrick.
What?
This is Patrick, your husband, speaking. From the other side. I am coming for you soon. Will you be ready, Mary?
Patrick.
Will you be ready, Mary?
Patrick!
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you James Mason and Pamela Collino in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hey, Hap, I spent Washington's birthday telling my young nephew the story of George Washington. What a great man he was. How he always told the truth.
Well, that was nice of you, Harlow. This younger generation should know about George Washington.
And to illustrate, I told him how I always tell the truth about Autolite Stay Full Battery.
What?
Those marvelous, wonderful get-up-and-get batteries with the extra reserve of water. Why, son, I told him a camel is practically dehydrated compared to an Autolite Stay Full Battery. Because an Autolite Stay Full Battery needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
But, Harlow, you were telling your nephew about George...
Always tell the truth, I told him. Like I tell the people about the punchy power for peppy performance packed in an Autolite Stay Full Battery because of that ample sample of H2O. Yes, by Cornelius, I told him an Autolite Stay Full Battery needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. That extra liquid reserve means longer life and stronger life. I told him about the fiberglass insulation between plates that adds months to the life of an Autolite Stay Full Battery.
Well, I'm sure the kid learned a lot about George Washington. But wait, here's Suspense.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage James Mason, who will be joined by his wife, Pamela Collino, in Where There's a Will, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
After I'd spoken with the voice of Aunt Mary's dead husband, I waited a moment. Then, very cautiously, I looked into the sitting room. Aunt Mary was sitting bolt upright, transfixed. Then a sob broke from her as she looked toward the radio, which was now innocently transmitting the BBC third program again. I had to bite my lips to keep from laughing. But Aunt Mary said nothing about her experience, so I was obliged, the fourth morning after that, at breakfast, to say casually, "Oh, I say, Aunt Mary."
Yes, Charles?
I was just wondering, last evening...
Yes, Charles?
Aunt Mary, who's that funny old boy up in the spare room? The picture, that is. You know, the picture over the mantelpiece, the old boy with the beaver and the side whiskers?
Well, really, Charles, your tone is most disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
It's your Uncle Patrick, Charles. My late husband.
Oh, I say, I'm sorry. I'd no idea. After all, I never did know him, Aunt Mary.
Very well, Charles.
You see, I wondered. It was queer.
Queer? What's queer? Are you trying to say something, Charles?
Oh, no, not really. It's nothing. Nothing that makes any sense, I mean.
I wish you would tell me what it was that made you ask me about the picture of your uncle.
Well, if you will have it, I fancied I saw him.
Saw him?
The man in the picture, I mean, looking out of the end window when I was coming up the drive last night.
What?
Yeah. And later on, I happened to drift into the spare room, and there was the picture up over the mantelpiece, the same man. It's all quite easy to explain, really. I expect subconscious and all that. I must have noticed the picture before without realizing it, and then just fancied the face of the window. Aunt Mary, is something the matter?
Charles, my husband's face. Did you see it in the end window?
Why, yes. Why?
Only that was Patrick's. Your late uncle's dressing room, Charles.
The very absurdity of the story I made poor Aunt Mary believe was the fun. The clever, roundabout way I played my role. The following Wednesday night, I pretended to go and play bridge again. I concealed myself in the room off the sitting room just as before, took up the microphone, and spoke from the other world in the same sepulchral tones. Mary, on Friday, I shall come for you. Friday at 9:30. At 9:30. Do not be afraid. There will be no pain. Be ready, Mary. When I came into her bedroom the next morning, Aunt Mary was speaking to Elizabeth in a most businesslike manner.
Now, here you are, Elizabeth. I want you to take this letter I've written.
Yes, Ma'am.
I wrote it last evening. If anything should happen, Friday evening. You understand me?
Yes, Ma'am. Friday evening? That's my night out.
So it is, and you go right ahead. However, if anything shall have happened by the time you get back on Saturday, I want this letter delivered to Dr. Mayle.
Yes, Ma'am.
Now, the top left-hand drawer of my bureau, it's locked. The long key with a white label. Everything in the drawer is ready.
Ready, Ma'am?
For my burial.
Oh, Ma'am, why, what are you saying? I thought you was in a sight better health.
Never mind that, Elizabeth. Don't be maudlin.
Ma'am.
Elizabeth, did I ever tell you how much I've left you in my will?
Oh, no, Ma'am.
Well, I can't seem to remember. It was £50 in the old will, but did I raise it to 100? Well, at any rate, I want you to have £100. I'll have to look into it. But if anything should happen before I do, then Mr. Charles will see to it.
Did I hear my name mentioned, dear Aunt Mary?
Oh, good morning, Charles. Yes, I was just saying to Elizabeth, I don't know if I've left her 50 or 100 pounds. But if anything should happen to me, it's to be 100 pounds.
Well, I must say, that's a gloomy thing to be thinking about.
Oh, Mr. Charles, does she think carrying on most awful just
What's
now?
this?
That's enough, Elizabeth. You may go now.
Yes, Ma'am. Yes, Ma'am.
Well, now, just what in the world is all this about? Suppose you tell me just what's going to happen to dear Aunt Mary.
Charles, what do you plan to be doing Friday evening?
Friday evening? Well, as a matter of fact, the Ewings asked me to go in and play bridge. But if you'd rather I stayed at home...
No, Charles. Actually, I prefer to be alone.
Well, just as you wish.
You know, I think I'll have Mr. Hopkinson send me the will. I want to find out about the bequest to Elizabeth. It's either 50 or £100. The rest, dear Charles, of course, goes to you.
Yes, dear Aunt Mary. Whatever you say. Friday evening, I picked that night because I knew it was Elizabeth's night off, and I wanted to be sure there was no one about. Friday evening, at 8 o'clock, I drove away, waited for an hour to elapse, then slipped back into the house. I looked through the crack in the door and saw Aunt Mary sitting in the high-backed chair beside the radio. As I listened, the 9 o'clock news ended, and a program of music was about to begin. It was 9:15. 15 minutes till the appointed time for the arrival of the dead Patrick. This time, I did not touch the microphone. I went upstairs, opened a camphor chest of old clothes in the spare room, took a tube of spirit gum from my pocket, and bent forward intently in front of a mirror. Sharp on the instant of 9:30, there was a fumbling at the outer door of the house, and the front door slowly opened. And then there were slow, halting footsteps along the short hall to the sitting room, where an old woman waited. And then the sitting room door opened. The time has come, Mary.
Patrick, I'm ready.
Practical joke had worked to perfection. Aunt Mary's poor old heart couldn't stand the strain of seeing her dead husband, Patrick, arrive in person to carry her off into the spirit world. I stepped over the body, which had fallen dangerously near the burning fire in the grate. I took the poker and thrust some folds of paper that were lying in the ash into the fire to bring up a blaze, and in the blaze burned the false beard and side whiskers. I detached the wire fixed into the radio and took wire and microphone upstairs. I undressed and replaced Uncle Patrick's old-fashioned suit of clothes in the camphor chest in the spare room where I'd found it. Then I dressed again and went off to play bridge at the Ewings. 2 days later.
This is Mrs. Harter's... this was Mrs. Harter's residence. Oh, just a moment. It's Mr. Jepson, sir.
All right, I'll take it. You may go, Elizabeth.
Yes, sir.
Ridgway here. Anything wrong?
Not yet. I just wanted you to know that I read about it in the Daily Standard, Ridgway.
A pity about poor dear Aunt Mary, don't you think, Mr. Jepson?
A pity? And let me remind you, you have 1 week left.
I haven't forgotten. Once the newspapers announce my inheritance of £40,000, I'll have no difficulty borrowing. And then I'll pay up.
Good. Only remember this, Ridgway. You don't pay up and I send you to the same place you sent to your Aunt Mary. Understand? Or maybe it wouldn't be quite the same place, Ridgway. Now that you've got murder on your soul. Understand?
I understand, Mr. Jepson. And then, that evening, Dr. Manel came to the house.
I really did think you'd want to see this.
You say Elizabeth brought it to you?
Yes, she said it was one of Mrs. Harter's last requests that she do so.
As a matter of fact, I do seem to remember... Yes, and I do recall seeing her give Elizabeth some such envelope as that. You've read the contents?
That's what's queer. Here, suppose you have a look for yourself.
All right. Tonight, Wednesday, at 9:15, I have distinctly heard the voice of my dead husband. He told me that he would come for me on Friday night at 9:30. If I should die on that day and at that hour, I should like the facts made known so as to prove beyond question the possibility of communicating with the spirit world. Mary Harter.
What do you make of it?
I hardly know.
It's a coincidence, to say the least. She did die at nearly that very hour. 9:30 Friday night.
But I don't understand.
In the circumstances, an autopsy is desirable, you understand, purely as a matter of form.
Yes. Yes, of course. Why not? Of course, everything must be done according to form. What's the matter with you, Charles? Have you lost your sense of humor? 5 days later.
Mr. Hopkinson is here to see you, sir.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That'll be all.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ridgway. Frightful morning.
Mr. Hopkinson, about Mrs. Harter's, my aunt's, will.
I did not quite understand your insistent messages to me, Mr. Ridgway. You seem to be under the impression the late Mrs. Harter's will was in our keeping.
Why, yes. I've often heard my aunt say as much.
Oh, quite so. It was in our keeping.
Was?
That is what I said. Mrs. Harter wrote to us, however, asking that it be forwarded to her. There seemed to be some haste to the matter. At any rate, we got it out to her at once. She would have received it on Friday, the day of her death.
I do seem to remember her making mention of it. Something about the bequest to Elizabeth. She wanted to check the amount. It must be about the house somewhere, then.
Elizabeth has been through Mrs. Harter's personal effects, I believe.
Yes, just a moment. I'll call her. Elizabeth?
Yes, Mr. Charles?
Elizabeth, come here a moment, please.
Yes, sir?
Elizabeth, when you went through Mrs. Harter's things, was her will among them?
No, sir.
You're sure, Elizabeth?
Yes, sir. You see, I know what it looked like. The poor mistress had it in her hand the very evening of her death when she sent me out.
You're sure of that?
Oh, yes, sir. She pointed out that about the £50 to me, sir. She said if she told you to give me the other £50. Not that I mentioned it to press you.
No, of course not.
The will was in a long blue envelope, sir.
Quite right.
The same blue envelope, Mr. Charles, sir, was lying on the radio table by her chair the morning after. But empty, sir.
It was the envelope in which I dispatched the will to your aunt, Mr. Ridgway. Mr. Ridgway, was there a fire in the grate on Friday evening?
Yes, of course.
I see.
What are you driving at, Hopkinson?
I'm afraid, Mr. Ridgway, only one conclusion is possible. Your aunt sent for her will in order to destroy it.
What?
Yes, Mr. Ridgway.
But why? Why?
You had no disagreement with your aunt, Mr. Ridgway?
Not at all. We were on the most affectionate terms right up to the end.
Of course. Quite. Mr. Ridgway, you will understand. Under the circumstances, we were obliged to investigate.
Investigate? What do you mean?
It happened that there is a former will of Mrs. Harter still extant. By it, Mrs. Harter leaves everything to her niece, to your cousin, Miriam.
To Miriam? Yes, but...
As for the more recent will sent by me before her death to Mrs. Harter, it must have been burned in the grate.
Burned? The will was burned.
Mr. Charles, can I get you something?
No, I'll be all right. You may go, Elizabeth.
Yes.
I'll run along too, Mr. Ridgway, if there's nothing further.
No, I'll telephone.
Quite. And yet there would seem to be little use for that. We've notified your cousin Miriam of her inheritance. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised you didn't know all this yourself. You see, we sent word round to the press yesterday. Well, good day, Mr. Ridgway.
Good day. I remembered some folds of paper that I thrust into the fire to make it blaze up and burn the false beard and side whiskers with which I'd frightened an old lady to death. And then I remembered something falling. A paper. A will. From an old woman's fingers as she stood frozen in terror too near the fire. I saw the fire again, consuming something. Consuming the will. Oh, my cleverness.
Your maid said you went in, but I thought she was lying. I don't like liars, Ridgway.
Mr. Jepson,
I read the papers. I read who's going to inherit your aunt's money. I don't like liars.
But I did think I was going to inherit, or why would I have killed her?
You killed her?
Of course.
Oh, so you did kill her.
How many times do you want me to say it?
I believe that'll do. All right, Inspector. That's what I wanted you to hear. Come in.
What?
And bring in the maid, too.
That was very clever of you, Mr. Jepson. I must confess, I had my doubts. Now, Mr. Ridgway, you'd better come along.
But I was only joking.
Young woman,
Yes, sir?
you heard Mr. Ridgway say he killed his aunt?
I did, sir, but he must have been joking.
Never mind, that's enough. By the way, Mr. Ridgway, you'll be interested in knowing, I'm sure, that we checked with Dr. Manell on the autopsy. According to his reports, your aunt's heart was so weak, she could not have lived another month.
What are you laughing at?
That's your joke, old man. Oh, your joke.
Yes. It is funny, isn't it? Very funny.
James Mason and Pamela Colino for a splendid performance. Now, Harlow Wilcox.
Friends, Autolite Stay Full batteries need water only 3 times a year in normal car use. And they're made by Autolite men who make over 400 products for cars, trucks, airplanes, and boats in 28 Autolite plants from coast to coast. Yes, sirree, Autolite also makes complete electrical systems for many makes of America's finest cars. Batteries, spark plugs, generators, starting motors, coils, distributors. All ignition engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, folks, don't accept electrical parts supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
Now, here again is
James Mason and wife
Pamela Colino.
I hope you both enjoyed being on Suspense tonight, and especially you, Mrs. Mason, even though the part of Elizabeth was small.
Oh, yes, it was a lot of fun. You see, James and I learned a long time ago that it's not how large the part is, but how much fun you have playing it. Besides, next time, Tony Leader has promised to find a script for me, in which James can play a butler or a cat or something.
How about that, Miss Mason?
I'm looking forward to it. And we're looking forward, too, to next week when Joan Fontaine will star in The Lovebirds, another gripping study in
Suspense.
James Mason and Pamela Colino have just completed the book, The Cats in Our Lives. Tonight's suspense play was adapted from the Agatha Christie story by William Fifield. Music was composed by Lucian Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. Now, here is great news. Beginning March 1st, Suspense on television may be seen in many areas of the country, Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
You can buy Autolite electrical parts, Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite Stay Full batteries at your neighborhood Autolite dealer. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lights out, everybody. It is later than you think.
This is Arch Obler bringing you another in our series of stories of the unusual. Our scene, a doctor's office. The doctor, a genial middle-aged man, is smiling across his desk at young Mrs. Peggy Connon. And he's saying,
Well, Mrs. Connon, I don't think there is much more I can say other than this. Don't be too afraid. This sort of thing has been going on since the beginning of time. Millions of women. So don't be frightened. Go home. Tell your husband. Be happy.
Thank you, Doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Get the cab, miss?
No, thank you. I'll walk.
Okay, miss.
Walk. Yes, I'll walk. It takes longer when you walk. No longer to get home. Home. What will he say? What will he say?
Baby.
What will Bill say? What?
Oh, it's out of the question, Peg. Out of the question on the money I make. Now, look, this isn't confetti. It's bills for groceries, bills for laundry, bills for gas. I tell you, Peg, it's out of the question.
Out of the question. He'll say out of the question.
Baby.
What will he say? Oh, Bill, what will you say?
Hey, watch the lights, lady.
Oh.
Yeah. Watch where you're going, little lady. Them lights are for you as well as for the car.
What will Bill say?
What? What did you say? Say, you don't feel well or something. Your face, I mean.
Oh, I'm all right, officer.
Sure you don't want a cab?
No, I'm walking home.
Okay. But watch the traffic at the crossings.
If I take shorter steps, it'll take longer. Yes, shorter steps.
Do you realize it'll set us back for the next 5 years? We won't be living. We'll always be paying bills for doctors, for hospitals, for nurses, for this and for that.
Will he say that?
It's been going on since the beginning of time. Millions of women. So don't be afraid. Go home. Tell your husband. Be happy. Be happy.
Happy? Doctor said that, didn't he? Happy. Bill, we have been happy.
Rowing. I don't think I'm going to row anymore. Too hot.
Uh-huh.
Just drift. Now, what was I talking about?
Happiness.
Oh, yeah, happiness. I think that the most important thing in life is to be happy. Don't you?
Oh, yes, Bill.
Now, you take ordinary people. On a day like this, what are they doing? Working in factories, working in offices, working. Isn't that right?
Yes.
But the park is here, the lagoon is here, the boats are here. Man, if they just had a little common sense, they'd say, the devil will work, we're going to be happy. And they'd come out here and they'd go boat riding.
4 million people. The lagoon would be awfully crowded, wouldn't it, Bill?
No, I'm serious. All right, so I'm not working today, so I'll have $5 less. But I'm doing what I want, and I'm happy.
I'm happy, too, Bill.
Are you? Honest, Peg?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gee. When I think that only 2 days...
And I wasn't even going to the dance.
I took one look at
Oh,
you.
that's a song, Bill.
Oh, it's the truth. Oh, gosh, I'm happy about you, Peg. I'm happier than I've ever been in my whole life.
Happy. We have been happy.
Make perfect. Let's try that kiss again. Da-da-da-dee-dee-dee. We're not...
Oh, Bill. We're good.
You mean we're loud? Loud.
Don't drive so fast.
Oh, I'm in a hurry.
Why, Mr. Bone?
I'm on my way to get married. I'm on my way to get married.
Oh, Bill. They'll think you've been drinking.
I have. 4 Cokes, a double malted, 2 kisses, and a marriage license. Yee-hee!
Bill, behave yourself.
Oh, no. The bride and the bridegroom's been a happy night in jail. Hey.
Huh?
Starting to rain. Shall I put the top up?
Oh, no, please.
Huh?
Want the rain in the face. Oh, it's wonderful, Bill. The wind and the rain. I feel as if I were flying.
Oh, this is Angel.
You know, all my life I thought that if I ran away to get married, I'd be so frightened. But I'm not afraid the least little bit. I love you, Bill. And everything's wonderful, and I'm so happy. So happy. We've been so happy.
Should I, Peg? Should I?
Well, I don't know, Bill.
Well, speak up, Mrs. Connor, or forever have to hold your peace.
That's 30 cents already.
Oh, I was only warming up. One more time, and I know I can hit it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, mister, I'll try her again.
That's here you are, son. Once for a dime. Knock down the top bottle and win the little lady a great big, beautiful doll.
Okay, Peg. Here I go.
Oh, you hit it, Bill, you hit it.
I told you I would. Okay, mister, pay off.
What'll it be, little lady? A Kewpie or a Popeye?
Popeye.
Here you are.
Thank you.
You can do the same, ladies and gentlemen, with a great big, beautiful town.
Bill, isn't it cute?
Yeah. Hey, let's sit down over here.
All right.
Oh,
Darling, you're wonderful.
wonderful. And hungry.
Oh, Bill, after 4 hot dogs, 3 sodas, and all those peanuts, you ought to be sick.
I am, but I'm hungry.
Bill.
Bottomless Bill from the Ozarks, that's me.
Bill, you're so crazy, and I love you so much.
You talk like that, and I'll kiss you right in the middle of the midway.
Double dare you.
Hey, maybe there's a law against kissing your own bride.
Maybe there's a law against being so happy.
You got the prettiest little funny face.
You know, I used to think that when I got married, I'd be going to the French Riviera, Honolulu, and, well, you know, places like that, and here I am, Luna Park.
Oh, Peg.
No, darling, you don't understand. I like it. I'm happy about it. Why, I'll bet there are thousands of women who've been to all those famous places who'd give every minute of it to be in my place with someone she loves and who loves her. Women are really awfully simple people, darling. They want love. And I've you, and I'm happy. Terribly happy.
Go home. Tell your husband, be happy, be happy, be happy.
I could be happy.
Mother.
Peggy Conant.
Mother.
Mother. My mother. Mother.
You mark my words, he'll never make a good living for you, never. No drive, no ambition, a worthless young man. Never make a good living for you, Peggy. You'll never have anything. You mark my words. Just mark my words. For the last time, listen to me, daughter. Now, if you marry that boy, you'll cry a great deal more, believe me. Oh, stop crying, Peggy, and listen to me. Someday you'll be a mother, and you'll understand that I'm telling you these things for your own sake. When you have children of your own, you'll understand.
Understand what, Mother? Understand what? Should I understand now? If you were alive, could you make me understand now? Well, Bill's all right. He's all right, I tell you. It's just that he used to laugh. Laughed all the time. But how can he laugh now?
Rent, gas, dentist, light, coffee. Rent, gas, dentist, light, coffee.
That's what I don't understand, Mother. Doesn't the world want people like Bill who can laugh? Must everyone be wonderful at making money? Isn't there a place for people like Bill who don't want a great deal? Can't things be so that they can make the little they need without growing so old and tired they forget what it is to laugh? And be happy at just being alive.
Fine mess. We're in a fine mess. Where will we get the money? Where will we get the money, Peggy? Where will we get the
No.
money?
Gotta stop thinking things like that. Got to. Think about him.
Shine, lady. Shine, mister. Shine.
What will he be?
Tomorrow creeps in its petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle light, but a walking shadow, a poor...
Oh, no! No.
And so, my fellow citizens, standing here in profound humility, where so many of our truly great have stood, all there is left to say is this. In accepting this high office, and in assuming the leadership of our great nation in these troubled times, I pledge myself...
No.
In that moment, he realized he no longer loved semicolon. In that moment, the past with her, comma, last year, hyphen, French moment, comma.
Maybe.
And so, it is with a great deal of pride that this network brings to you the premiere radio performance of the world's premier violinist, David Conant.
Maybe.
And my diagnosis of the patient only confirms my profound belief that such diseases can be cured.
Maybe.
So, an investment of these issues, with my concern, will net you a profit of not less than the sum of twice your investment.
Oh, no. Oh,
Silly Peggy.
You used to say that, didn't you, Mother? silly Peggy. Because I laughed at the wrong time. Maybe I laughed then. Maybe I'm laughing now because I'm afraid.
It's happened to women for millions of years.
No, not that. Pain goes quickly, I know it, but... Bill. What'll Bill say? No, stop thinking. Stop thinking. Walk slowly. Very slowly. What was I thinking? Oh, yes, my boy. I'll be so much wiser by the time he grows up. Give him advice.
Yes, Mother. Of course, Mother. Yes, I'm listening. You're wonderful, Mother. Oh, you're right, Mother. Just as you say, Mother.
No, not like that.
You're wrong, Mother. I will not, Mother. I won't do it, Mother. No, Mother.
No, not that way.
Why, Mother? Explain, Mother. Tell me if you know, Mother. Why is it like that, Mother?
Yes. Look like. What will he look like?
Lovely child.
May I hold him? Looks like you.
His father's hair. Beautiful child. Beautiful child.
Beautiful child. Yes, why not? Why not? David Conan. Beautiful child.
Hey, Bob, read all about it. War crisis, war in Europe. Read all about it. War.
Baby.
Bill, what if he says it?
Read the newspapers, I tell you. Read the newspapers. There's your answer. Raise them up so they can blow them up. The answer's in your newspapers, I tell you, Peg. Raise them up to blow them up.
What can I answer him? I'm not good at answers. If Bill says that, what'll I say?
So I said to him, I said, Joe, I will not go for a ride. And he said, why not? And I said, why should I? And he said, well, if you don't, when will you? So I give him a smile, you know. And he said, you look here, Helen, young, if you think I'm...
Girl. Maybe it'll be a girl. Yes, why not? Girl.
Mother.
A lovely girl.
Mother, you think my dress hangs right? Isn't it too long? Or is it too short? Don't you think I would have it made a little frill here?
No wars. Killing, dying, just...
Mother, do you think I ought to go out with him after what he said to me? Mother, I don't think that's a good school. Really, I don't.
Cannon fodder, bomb fodder.
You
Raise them strong and blow them up. What's the good of it, Peg? What's the good of it?
No, can't be like that. Not with a girl. Ruth. No.
Anna.
No.
Nina.
No.
Elizabeth.
No.
Carol.
Yes. Carol Conan.
Carol Conan, the season's
Carol
prettiest figure
Conan.
dance.
Brilliant
Carol
young-
Conan, beautiful young. Carol Conan is nationally known.
What could she be?
Mother, do you know all about babies? You know? After all, look at me. Well, I was wondering about Junior. He won't eat his cereal. He won't touch his bottle. I don't know what to do. I simply don't know what to do.
Maybe.
Carol Conan, opera, tonight. Curtain, 8:30.
Yes.
My daughter.
Oh, you'd be so proud of her, Bill. You would. Almost there. Walk slower. Oh, Bill, don't get angry when I tell you. God, don't let it be angry. I couldn't stand it if he yelled at me. I couldn't. I'm afraid. Bill, if you knew I was afraid, you'd help me, wouldn't you? Afraid of you. That's not right, is it? Walk slower. Walk slower. When I get there, Bill, and you look at me, if Then, for the first time in my life, I can say everything I've been thinking before you have a chance to say anything. Then you'll understand how I feel, and because you love me, you won't say anything that'll hurt me, and you'll take me in your arms. Oh, Bill, but I can only think things. I can never say them clearly when they should be said. Maybe everybody's like I am, talk when it's too late. This time I've got to talk now, right away, the minute I get in the house, because if you talk first and say things that hurt me, you and I will never... Oh, Bill, all I want is to be happy, just a little. Everything's so mixed up all over the world that... Bill, all I know, all I want is...
You say something, Mrs. Collins?
Oh, Mr. Tomasi.
What's the matter? You walk right up past the house, huh? Yeah, maybe you're thinking you don't live here no more, huh?
I was so preoccupied, I didn't notice.
Sure was a hot day, huh, Mr. Collins?
Yes, it was. I don't like to go in.
Oh, but your husband, he's at home, huh?
Home?
Sure, he come about 10 minutes ago. I'm going to see him go upstairs.
It is late, isn't it?
Sure. You put it in the girl, but when a husband come home from work and a wife is not home, sometimes you get a plenty man, huh? I bet you're scared, huh?
I'd better go up.
Hey, I'm going to come up pretty soon and fix that water faucet.
All right.
Yeah? Who's going to stop?
You think I'm afraid of you? Go on and hit me. Hit me.
Will you shut up?
I'll talk all I want to talk.
Oh, yeah?
What else have I got to do in this dump but talk? I'm sick of this dump here. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Good evening, Mrs. Collins.
Good evening, Mr. Gold. You're playing very well tonight.
Yeah. In 60 years, even a fool learns to do something.
Oh.
To go to sleep. Just a little bit. Oh, good evening, Miss Conlon. Hot tonight, yeah?
Yes. The baby all right?
Oh, yeah, lots better. See?
He's so tiny, isn't he?
You like a baby, yeah, Miss Conlon?
Well,
Yeah, I know. They look like lots of trouble, but you bet you for people what got little babies, the whole world.
Yes.
Believe me, baby's good. Good night.
Good night, Mrs. Maslow.
Peggy, that's Peg.
Bill.
Gosh, Peg, where you been? I've been worried stiff.
Was it just walking?
I got home. There was nobody here. I was ready to do a calling all cars, so help me. What, are you going to stand here by the door all night? What's the matter, Peg? Oh, honest, I don't care if there isn't any dinner. See, I'm so full of love for you tonight, one potato to me, and I'd pop like a kid's balloon.
Bill, I want to
No,
tell you...
wait, I'm going to tell you.
Me?
Yeah, come on over by the window. Phew, it's hot. Yeah, that's better. Nice breeze to keep you cool while I burn you up with the news right off the press.
News? Bill,
Flash. Ambition comes to Billy Connor.
Bill, if you'd let me tell you...
How can you tell me when I'm trying to tell you? Now, listen, sweet funny face. Today, the great lords of industry unlocked the octopus long enough to hand Billy Connor, now hold your breath, $5 more a week.
Bill, I've got...
Yes, so help me, $5. Oh, is that terrific, Peg? We move right into the upper brackets. Got everything we want.
Bill, please listen to me. I've got to...
Sure, as soon as I finish my say. Now, I got to say it, Peg, because I've been kind of getting up steam to say it all the way home from the office. Now, all this may sound a little screwy to you, but Here goes.
Bill, I want to tell you
Oh,
today.
please, funny face, don't interrupt to tell me about the bargain you saw today, because, well, if I stop talking, I'll lose my nerve, and then maybe I won't ever say it again. Peg, this $5 a week. Now, that's over $250 a year. And I began thinking right away how we could spend it.
Ben.
Yeah, you know me. So I got thinking about maybe we get another car. But the old jalopi's pretty good yet, and then I thought maybe we could take a cottage someplace. But then I don't get a vacation until next year. So, then I got thinking... Why, heck, what's the matter with me? Why should I be afraid to talk to you?
There's no reason to be afraid. Is there, Bill?
Oh, of course not. See, what I'm trying to say is that... Well, look at the newspaper headline.
The war, yes, I
Well,
thought
we're all
it.
going to smash, maybe. So I got thinking the heck with it. There isn't time enough to go anywhere or plan anything, and who wants money anyway? So, how can we spend it to make both of us really happy? You know, to make our lives... I mean, if one of us should die before the other, make our lives mean something.
Mean something.
Oh, Peg, I got to say it faster. I won't be able to say it at all. Peg, let's spend the money for a kid. Oh, Peg, what do you look at me like that for? Oh, I know we never talked about it, but... Well, I was kind of scared of the idea, and I didn't know if you'd want one. Well, Peg, for Pete's sake, say something. Looking at me. Well, what did you want to tell me before? Say that at least.
Oh, Bill. Bill. Wait till you hear.
Unsolved Mysteries. Out of deference to persons who may still be living, character names in some of these true unsolved mysteries have been changed. The solution of the St. George Club murder is known to possibly not more than 3 men. 1, the chief at New Scotland Yard at the time of the crime. 2, the murderer. 3, the detective inspector who investigated the murder. Down Pall Mall, festooned in evergreen, the snow-covered canopy of the St. George Club gleams in the crisp night air. Old Walter, the doorman, the whiteness of his hair rivaling the softly falling snow, greets the club members with the same formula he's been using for over 60 years.
Good evening, Sir William. Pleasant evening to you, Sir William.
Oh, good evening, Walter.
Cheerio there, Tubby. How are you?
I'm splendid, Fatty, splendid. Haven't felt better in years.
I say, tell me, Sir William, have you any idea how many times you and the Earl of Burke have greeted one another in the same manner?
You counted up every day in the year since the end of the Boer War.
Almost 28 years, by Jove. Quite a tradition.
Talking about tradition, I have something serious to lay before the members, the older members.
Oh, now, really, nothing serious?
Oh, certainly, yes. Come into the committee room. I wish to talk to all.
Well, if you insist, yes.
Yes, of course, but don't take too long, old chap. I have to be over the shop, you know.
And now then, Burke, what's in the wind?
I want to discuss this affair between Baxter and Hardcastle.
Oh, frightfully embarrassing, what?
Deuced bad taste, the way they are behaving, all right.
Not only bad taste, but bad blood. Quarreling the way they do. I tell you, I don't like it. And if I have to, much as I hate to do it, I shall exercise club authority over them.
I feel, of course, that it's none of my business. But I do think that Baxter showed frightfully bad taste, cutting in on Hardcastle when he's been going with the lady in question for over a year.
I noticed as we came through just now that they were playing cards again.
And for high stakes, too. 100 guineas a game.
Hardcastle can't afford to lose, and he always does.
Yes, but we can hardly take disciplinary measures against them on that score.
But we can call Baxter in on the carpet and tell him what we think.
And I can tell you word for word what he'll say, and it isn't polite. I know. I had that young squirt as second lieutenant in my mob. I know.
Well, I think I can solve it for tonight anyway. George over at the Shaftesbury has invited us all to occupy the first 4 rows of the parterre to see Mary Garden and Melisande.
Oh, splendid, splendid.
So let's go through to the card room and see if we can't break up this place for tonight.
All right.
I bid 2 hearts.
3 clubs.
3 hearts.
4 clubs.
4 hearts.
5 clubs.
I'll take you out on that.
Clubs are trump, and there's the ace.
My deuce.
The king.
My 4.
The queen.
The 6.
The jack.
A 5.
Now the ace of spades.
Which is mine with the 3 of trump.
With the what?
The 3 of trump.
Then there are 2 3s of clubs, you rotten cheat.
Gentlemen!
You keep out of this, you old fool.
Mr. Baxter, restrain yourself, or I shall be compelled to call upon the house manager and his assistants to restrain you.
No man can call me a cheat and get away with it.
I still say that you cheated.
And I say so also. I saw you pawn that extra trump, Baxter.
What is this, a plan to frame up?
How dare you, sir? Mr. Hevington, will you see that Baxter gets his hat and coat? I shall expect your resignation in the morning, Baxter.
You go to...
Don't you say it, Baxter. Don't say it. I may be an old fool, but I can still thrash a cheat. Now get out.
Baxter walks through the club lobby, gets his hat, stick, and coat from the check room, and stalks out into the street. Without glancing behind him, he turns down St. Martin's and stops to unlock the private iron gate into St. George's Park. A vicious twist of the key, and he locks the iron gate behind him. His footsteps ring out on the crisp gravel as he turns toward his apartment on the far side of the park. He stops. What was that? Footsteps behind him? Some club member coming to call him back?
Stick up your hands. Up. That's it. Now turn around when I go through your pockets.
Listen here, what's this?
Not a word or I'll plug you. Oh, so you carry a gun, do you? And here it is. The money you won by cheating.
Listen, you fool, I know who you are. I recognize you.
We'll be back with more of the St. George Club Mystery right after this. And now, back to the St. George Club Mystery on When Radio Was.
In a few minutes, the police find Baxter's body and carry it to the club. Suspicion immediately falls upon Hardcastle when the Dow Scots Detective Inspector Alec Drummond hears of the quarrel over cards.
Mr. Hardcastle, I have to warn you that whatever you say will be taken down in writing and used as evidence against you. Do you object to being searched?
Not in the slightest.
Then empty your pockets.
Keys, motor car driving license, watch, wallet with £64 in it, loose change, and, my dear Inspector, no gun.
We found the gun.
May I interrupt, Inspector?
Certainly, Sir William.
It's rather ridiculous, don't you know, to be accusing Hardcastle here. He hasn't been out of the club all evening.
Hardcastle was standing there in front of the gentleman's restroom.
There are only 2 entrances to the club, one in front and the other behind through the kitchen. Call Walter, the doorman, and Andre, the chef.
Let me see your hands, Hardcastle.
Delighted, Inspector. You'll find no powder smudges. You see, I've washed my hands.
You sent for me, sir?
Yes, Walter. The inspector would like to ask you a few questions.
You heard the shots? Certainly. Did anyone leave the club immediately before that?
No one left the club since Mr. Baxter left, sir.
Aye, that is all.
And this is Armory, the chef. Will you answer the inspector's questions, Armory?
Could anyone pass through the kitchen without you seeing them?
No, impossible. C'est impossible.
And no one has this evening?
No. Not one single person is here, Inspector.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hardcastle, for having inconvenienced you.
Don't mention it, Inspector. We all have our duty to do at times.
New Scotland Yard was on its mettle. The London papers blazed forth the story of the killing, and editorials were scathing in their denunciations, but still the murderer remained undiscovered. The scene is New Scotland Yard 1 week later. The chief is seated behind his desk talking to the detective inspector, Drummond.
Nothing new on the Baxter affair, Inspector?
Not a thing, Sir B. I've followed up every slightest thing, but there isn't even a clue. Baxter was killed with his own gun.
Fingerprints, Drummond?
Plenty. Almost every member of the club had handled that gun at some time or another. Baxter was quite fond of showing it off.
You followed Hardcastle?
Every minute of the day.
No trace of the money that was stolen from Baxter?
Not a sign, Sir B. The thing that gets me is that no one could get in and out of St. George's Park without a key to that gate. So it must have been someone who had a key. Either a proper key or a skeleton key.
And the doorman didn't see anyone?
Not a soul.
People walking along St. Martin's?
Plenty, including a taxicab driver, and he swears no one came out of the park.
Any ideas of your own, Inspector?
Yes, Sir B, I have. But you can't question the integrity of men like Sir William and the Earl of Burke. You can't hang a man with an ironclad alibi.
You're quite right, Inspector. You can't hang a man with an ironclad alibi.
In just a moment, you will hear a solution to the St. George Club mystery. Inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and character have been taken in the solution for which you have been waiting. The scene is New Scotland Yard, and the chief, sitting behind his desk, looks in amazement at the inspector who has just laid a report before him.
You're absolutely certain about this, Inspector?
Yes, sir. No, sir. We know that no one left the park, not by the gate, because the taxi driver was there all the time.
Yes, we went into that rather thoroughly. In fact, we're pretty well satisfied that we know who committed the murder. But how and what happened to the money?
The answers are in that report there, Chief. I've had men watching that park every day since the murder, and today he saw Hardcastle walk down the path.
Yes.
Hardcastle stopped by one of the iron benches, put his foot on the bench to tie his shoelace. The bench rocked. Hardcastle bent down and rearranged the wooden block that keeps the iron leg of the bench from sinking into the soft dirt.
By Jove, you hit it.
Yes, sir. That solves the mystery.
Yes. That's where he hid the money after he killed Baxter.
I can see that scene now. That night. Baxter walking out of the club, the members dividing themselves into little groups, discussing the scandal. Hardcastle going to the restrooms, looking behind him as he softly closes the door.
Now the coast's clear. I'll open the window, slip out into the square. I'll creep up behind Baxter as he walks home and stick my pipe stem in his back. They think he's being held up. Then I'll take his gun, take that money he won by cheating. I'll hide the money under one of the wood blocks, kill Baxter, and be back in the restroom in less than 1 moment. There isn't one member of the club that will think I've ever left the club rooms. Now, stick up your hands.
Listen here.
Not a word or I'll plug you. Oh, so you carry a gun, do you? And here it is. The money you won by cheating.
Listen, you fool. I know who you are. I recognize you.
That being successful, now I must hide the money. Then, after I hide the money, back into the club rooms through the bathroom window.
And as the inspector said, you can't hang a man with an ironclad alibi. And so to the rest of the world, Scotland Yard has an unsolved mystery in the St. George Club murder.
The Signal Oil Program. Yes, the Signal Oil Program. The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler. Rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal circle sign in yellow and black that identifies independently operated Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story. Beyond the Wall. There are some words that hit a man like an electric shock, and Marty Fisher had just heard them. He was standing at the head of the line of prisoners, as he always did on Visitors' Day. But this time, he didn't smile at the guard, pick up his card, and move casually on toward the wire wickets at the far end of the room. This time, he stood paralyzed, rooted before the battered oak desk, staring at the man who sat behind it.
What's the matter, Marty? Didn't you understand me? I said your wife didn't show up today.
But she told me she'd be here.
Sorry. Next.
Look, check the waiting room, will you? Maybe the roster's wrong. Maybe she didn't get a name in.
She isn't here. Now, look, there's still a half hour of free time. Go on back out to the yard.
But she never missed a visitor's day in 5 years.
I got news for you. There's always a first time for everything. A lifer like you ought to be able to figure that out. Next.
Yes, you can figure it out, can't you, Marty? You've seen it happen before to hundreds of others here at the state prison. And now you wonder if it's happened to you. For months, even years, a woman will show up at the visitor's cage every Wednesday, wearing a smile and murmuring soft words. And then one Wednesday she doesn't come. And after that, if there is another time, there are excuses, and the words are a little less soft, the smile a little more forced. Yes, Marty, you've seen it happen before. And now you turn and half stumble out of the room, walk slowly down the gravel path to a bench in the sun.
Well, Marty, old man. Didn't expect you out so soon. Sit down.
Yeah.
She didn't show up, Well, she's an attractive woman. It's bound to happen. Shut up. I'm told there are an amazing number of desirable men who are not in prison.
I said shut up.
Of course, your wife might have come down with a headache. Or had an appointment with a dentist, or been busy with a church supper.
Lay off, Baron. I'll break her head.
Don't get excited, Marty. You know what happens to those of us who get excited.
All right. Leave me alone.
Of course. I know how you feel, Marty. Don't worry. You'll get over it. Why, in no time at all, you'll forget you ever had a wife.
Okay, so I'll forget.
I'm sure you will. However, it won't be so easy to forget the money, will it?
What money?
Now, Marty.
What money?
Let me see now. I recall that payroll job of yours. Plant guard was killed. $75,000 was missing. The money was never recovered.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tell me, Marty. Does your wife know where the money is?
Look, Baron, I told you a million times I don't know anything about $75,000. Now forget it, will you?
Huh? Very well, my boy. However, I've been thinking. I might be in a position to do you some good one of these days.
Yeah, sure.
From the outside, that is.
What are you going to do? Gnaw your way through the wall?
Well, at least there's some reason to believe that I'll be out of here before long. You've heard of paroles, haven't you?
You getting a parole?
I think so. And the connection that's fixing mine could probably get you one. Here's the odd bell. Duty calls. I don't want to be late. They're so fussy at the machine shop, you know. But we'll talk about it again, Marty?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, and about your wife, Marty, don't worry. She really might have had an appointment with a dentist. Well, ta-ta.
As you walk back to the prison library, you try to convince yourself that you've been all wrong about Helen. That there must have been a good reason to prevent her from coming today. You tell yourself that she'll be here the next time. Yes. You're sure she will be, aren't you, Marty? The days drag by, agonizing days filled with suspense. And then finally, next Wednesday, you're sitting in the visitor's room, looking at Helen on the other side of the screen.
Hello, Marty.
Hello, baby.
I'm sorry about last week.
Yeah, sure.
I just couldn't get here. I was feeling terrible, Marty. The old headaches again, worse than ever.
Yeah, sure.
You're not mad, are you?
No. Should I be?
I wanted to come, Marty, honest.
I said it's okay.
Marty?
Yeah.
Nick Hellman came to see me last night.
Hellman. Yeah, what a sucker I was to let him handle my case.
It could have turned out worse, Marty.
If he had any brains, he could have figured an alibi for me. Got me an acquittal. What do you want?
He said he might be able to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he has connections. He might be able to get you out. Only...
Yeah. Only it'll cost dough. And I don't have any, baby. I said I didn't have any dough.
I don't... All right, Marty.
You don't believe me anymore, do you? You really think I did pull that job?
Marty, please, I didn't...
You figure I got 75 grand salted away somewhere, huh?
Marty, listen to me. I love you. I want to be with you. But I want you out of here, Marty.
Oh, listen, I said I...
All right, Marty, all right. I was only telling you what Hellman said.
You didn't finish.
What?
You're supposed to ask me where the dough is. You tell him and everything is keen, huh?
Oh, Marty,
I'm
please.
out. Just like that, huh? Oh, kid me, I know Hellman. Look, you tell him to forget about it.
All right, Marty.
And Helen.
Yes?
I think you better forget about it, too.
You're determined that no one is going to get any part of that $75,000, aren't you, Marty? And in the weeks that follow, there's no further mention of the money or of Hellman. Your wife doesn't miss a single visit. And you begin to realize how foolish it was of you to suspect that something was wrong, that Helen had found someone else. The one Sunday morning at the prison chapel, it's the Baron, sitting next to you, who has something to whisper into your ear.
Marty.
Yeah?
My parole came through.
That's fine. Why tell me about it?
I can do you some good when I get out, my boy.
Yeah, sure.
The way things are going, you'll need someone to look out for your interests.
What do you mean by that?
Some friends of mine on the outside, Marty. They've been checking things for me.
Like what?
You ever hear of a man called Johnny Rigo?
No.
Your wife has. What? My contacts tell me she's been running around with him. Keep your head on, Marty. Guards.
Look, Baron, what do you want?
Handing me. I'm telling you, your wife and Rigo, my pretty palsy.
That's an old gag, Baron. You're wasting your time.
As you wish, my boy. But if your wife gets her hands on that $75,000, you can kiss her goodbye. She's gone. With friend Rigo.
I'm supposed to tell you where the dough is, huh? So you can protect it for me.
That's the general idea, Marty.
Forget it, chum.
I'm getting out in 3 weeks. Think it over. You can sit here, do nothing, and give your wife a chance to get her hands on the dough. Or you can tell me what it is.
I said forget it.
You don't have much choice, my boy. You can trust me or your wife and stay here the rest of your life.
With the prologue of Beyond the Wall, the Signal Oil Company brings you another strange story by The Whistler. Which of these parts could your car get along best without? Engine, transmission, differential, or front wheel bearings? Well, the answer, obviously, is that it couldn't even run without a single one of these vital parts. That's why the mailing card, which Signal dealers are sending out this month, shows a bluebird feeding a nest full of hungry mouths and has the caption, "Don't neglect a single one." And right now, with increased spring and summer driving just ahead, is the time to put these vital parts of your car on a lube diet that will keep them singing. For your engine, that means draining out winter-weary oil, refilling with Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil. This improved type Signal oil does so much more than just lubricate, because it combines 100% pure paraffin base with scientific new compounds. Then have your Signal dealer drain the transmission and differential and refill with proper summer weight gear lube. And at the same time, ask your Signal dealer to clean and repack your front wheel bearings. When you've had this work done by an experienced Signal dealer, you can sail confidently into a summer of carefree driving, knowing that these vital parts on your car will stay young, because you haven't neglected a single one.
You're not greatly concerned about the money from the payroll robbery, are you, Marty? You're certain no one will ever find it. But you are worried about your wife, Helen. And you wonder if the Baron was telling the truth about her and Johnny Rigo. Before you plan your next move, you decide to check his story. Several days later, you're working in the prison library when one of the trustees comes in, returning an armful of books from the hospital.
Hiya, Marty. Here are the books, pal.
Help me check them off, will you?
Sure. Hey, by the way, one of the guys wanted me to ask you. It's about his favorite magazine. You got it?
What is it?
Popular Mechanics. You get it? Popular...
Yeah, I get it. Well, what'd you find out?
Baron wasn't stringing you. Your wife and this Rigo guy sure seen a lot of each other.
All right. What about Rigo?
Boys don't know much about him. Good-looking, swell dresser. Lives in a house over on Marvell Boulevard. 2240. Sorry, pal.
Sure.
Well, what is it, Marty? Ready to talk about the money?
Yeah, Baron, I'm ready to talk about the money. But you're going to have to earn it.
The cut's big enough? Okay.
There'll be plenty. Half. 37,000.
37,500.
All right.
And, what made you change your mind, Marty?
Tell you I had that dough?
No. I've always believed that you stashed that roll, but you're not cutting me in just because I have royal blood.
No. It's to pay for the risk you're going to run.
Risk?
Look, your parole is coming up when, Baron? 2 weeks?
2.5. What's that got to do?
It's got everything to do with it. That truck that they have you run into town every month. This is going to be the last trip before you get out.
Right.
You're not making that last trip, Barry.
I'm not taking the trip, but
I am.
But they'll expect me. You?
Yeah, that's right. And look, get this. Won't be any trouble. The way to make the check, it's always been you, and you always behaved yourself. The perfect trustee.
I can't do it, Marty. Not even for what you've offered. It's too big a chance. I messed up my chance at parole.
Look, you'll do it. You won't mess up anything. All you got to do is keep away from the guards. Hang around where I work and wait. I'll be out and back in again in 3 hours. I got it all timed, Barry.
You got what all timed? What's so important? Why do you have to go out there? And how do I know you'll be back?
I'll be back. It's the money, Barry.
2.5 weeks I could handle for you.
Sorry, I don't trust anybody.
But I have to trust you.
If you want 37,000?
37,500.
All right. Do you want it or not?
How do I get it?
I'll stash you half of the dough someplace where you can find it when you get out. Okay?
Now, look. Why don't you let me try to take care of everything for you? I'll be out in another...
No. It's my way or nothing.
Marty, I guess I ought to tell you.
Tell me what?
I've been up to the administration building several times in the last couple of weeks. I happened to find out something.
Yeah?
I heard they were going over your files again. There's a chance your case will hit the parole board in another 6 months.
What are you handing me?
That's what I heard, Marty.
You're not telling me this to sort of discourage me from taking that trip into town, right?
Well...
Or is it that you want to be sure that I come back?
I'm telling you because it'll save both of us from sticking our necks out. Now, Marty, listen, I've always leveled with you.
Sure.
You have some contacts in the administration building? Check it.
I want to get this settled first. What do you say, Baron? Do I take your place in the truck?
Yes, Marty. I suppose you do. That's all, Marty. All you need. The Baron's cooperation in that one round trip into town. By the end of the week, you're ready. The steady rain makes a heavy oil slicker excusable. A rain hat that can be pulled low over the eyes. In the machine shop, the Baron starts the truck, runs it out into the yard, has it inspected, and then drives off. No one pays any attention as he swings around past a loading platform, momentarily out of sight of the inspecting guard, and makes the switch with you. The truck doesn't even slow down. Only now you're at the wheel, Marty. Thankful for the rain that helps your plan work. A plan that will take care of your wife's boyfriend, Rico, and helps you drive out the service gate with no one knowing. An hour later, you drive the truck into the railroad station, back it up to the loading platform, and climb down.
Can you help us, loader, Jack? No, I don't feel so good. I'm going over to get some coffee. You guys, all the same.
Yeah, if you only knew, brother. If you only knew.
Away from the railroad station, you break into a half run. Rigo lives several blocks away, and you don't want to be gone too long. Approaching the place, you slow down, moving carefully. When you reach 2240 Marvell Boulevard, the house is dark. That's something you hadn't counted on, Marty. Rigo isn't home. The place is empty. You stand there wondering what to do, realizing that precious minutes are running out, and then a car swings into the drive. You press back against the house, hidden by the shrubbery. It's Rigo, all right, and he's driving into the garage. Perfect, isn't it, Marty? Almost too good to be true. You run forward silently and reach him before he shuts off the motor.
Don't get out, Rigo. Sit tight. That's right, we haven't met. You don't know much about me. It's okay, Rigo. I'm not sensitive if you're not. Now, look. Shut up and open that door. I'll turn that motor off.
We're in the garage. The fumes will...
Yeah, I know what the fumes will do.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't have to know too much, Rigo. Just that some guys don't like having their plans interfered with.
Plans?
Janet, I'm talking now. I'm running a show.
You're out of your mind. Let me out of here.
Hold it, Rigo.
What do you want?
Stop squirming, pal. It'll all be over in a minute. I'm just going to tap you on the chin.
What?
Put you to sleep for a while. The carbon monoxide fumes will put you away for good.
Look, who are you?
My name is Fisher. Marty Fisher.
Fisher? You're Marty Fisher?
Yeah. Now you know.
It's all over quickly, isn't it, Marty? You leave the unconscious Rigo in the car and the motor running. You close the garage doors and hurry back to the railroad station. An hour and a half later, you're approaching the prison gates. Everything has gone according to plan, hasn't it, Marty? There hasn't been the slightest slip-up.
Just a little luck and I'm home.
Okay. Who do you think you are, a real baron? All right, what are you waiting for? Take it through.
Right.
You're clear so far, aren't you, Marty? You swing the truck around the loading platform where you agreed to meet the Baron. Only he isn't there. The Baron isn't there. You slip the heavy raincoat off and the hat, toss them on the seat, and step out of the truck. You're about to walk away when he comes towards you.
Baron, where you...
Skip it. Let me in there. Wait. Give me the loading papers.
Loading papers?
You have them, don't you?
Yeah. All right, get in your truck, Baron. They're waiting for you back there to unload.
We're all right here. We can talk. Where'd you hide my half of the money?
The money?
I don't like the way you said that, Marty.
You don't, huh?
No. You're not getting any ideas about changing your mind. Now that you're all set, I mean.
I never changed my mind.
Go on.
It's been made up from the beginning. And you know something, Baron? Like I always said, there isn't any 75 grand.
Why, you...
Easy, Baron. You don't want to fight with me. You got too much to lose. That parole that's coming up.
That's the way you had it figured, huh? Fight me with that money, then use me. I can't talk.
I wouldn't. I don't think you will.
Maybe, Marty. Maybe. Maybe not.
Chump, figure the odds, Hav. You're clear in 2.5 weeks. If you keep quiet, you shoot your mouth off and boom, no parole. And no money. The answer's simple, sucker. You don't.
There's only one good thing about this place, Marty. You're here. And for life.
Glad it makes you happy, chum. Only for a reason that you'll never know, like now. I'm glad I am here.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with the strange ending to tonight's story. If you're like most drivers, balmy spring days such as we have at this time of year make you want to head your car for the open highway and go somewhere. And going places just naturally makes you more concerned about gasoline mileage, the thing Signal gasoline is famous for. Mileage, in fact, has been one of the principal reasons for Signal's amazing growth in popularity. Starting with a mere handful of stations in Southern California, Signal's popularity has grown and grown, until today Signal stations serve 6 western states, from Canada to Mexico. And wherever Signal is sold, it is known as the Go Farther gasoline. But mileage, mind you, is just one of the many benefits you enjoy when you switch to Signal. After all, to give you such good mileage, today's Signal gasoline has to help your motor run more efficiently. And when your motor runs more efficiently, you also enjoy more flashing pickup, more responsive power, the things which make driving more fun. That's why, whether you want performance or mileage, you want Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline.
Yes, Marty, it all worked out, didn't it? And the man who helped you, the Baron, is the last man in the world who would dare to reveal you. He doesn't even worry you in the remaining 2.5 weeks before his parole. And you're there, smiling with the others, to shake his hand, as he heads for the tailor shop to exchange his denims for a blue serge suit. He'll be wearing it for a while, won't he? Because the Baron is not a rich man. And your money, the $75,000 from the payroll robbery, will be waiting for you when you're on the outside. But that's the future, isn't it, Marty? You have the present to think of. Helen's paying you a visit, and you want to see how she acts, how she feels now that her boyfriend, Rigo, is out of the way. You're amused and pleased with yourself as you face her through the wire mesh screen of the visitor's room.
Hello, Helen.
Marty.
What is it, baby? You look like you've been crying.
Yes, Marty. Oh, Marty, something terrible's happened.
Is that right?
Marty, I asked you for the money again and again. I never told you the real reason.
It doesn't matter. There isn't any money. You loved him that much, huh?
You see, Marty, I guess I'll never stop loving you no matter what you've done. Only now there's nothing more I can do.
What are you talking about?
There was a man, a prominent man, Marty, and he was convinced that you were innocent. And he was in a position to do things.
Do things? What things?
Yes, he'd been talking to the parole board for months. And with a little more time to work on it, he was sure you'd be free soon. I know. I've been working with him constantly.
Wait a minute. You mean this man would fix it so I get out of here?
Yes, Marty. You'd have been free. But now, I don't know where to turn because Johnny Rigo...
Johnny Rigo?
Yes. Johnny Rigo can't do anything for us anymore. Something happened to him in his car. He died in his garage from carbon monoxide fumes.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at the same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil, and fine quality automotive accessories. Signal has asked me to remind you, to get the most driving pleasure, drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Tony Barrett, Wilms Herbert, and Evelyn Scott. The Whistler was produced by George W. Allen, directed by Gordon T. Hughes, based on a story by Jackson Gillis and Robert Eisenbach, with music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Remember, at the same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Speaking, this is,
Good evening, friends of the creaking door. This is your host to welcome you into the inner sanctum once again. Come in. Our little place may not be a mansion, but it has its advantages. For one thing, it's thoroughly scare condition. The scream pipes are always in good working order, and the rent's quite reasonable. We get a cut rate. Well, you've had your warning. Whatever happens from now on, you asked for. Just be sure the family is provided for. And now to our happy little anecdote for tonight. Bird song for a murderer.
My name is Carl Warner. I'm not a young man any longer, but I don't mind that. I wasn't very happy when I was young. Now, well, at least I'm not unhappy. And late at night, after Elaine has gone upstairs to bed, She's my wife, and she's very pretty and younger than I am. And perhaps I made a mistake in marrying her, but... Well, anyway, late at night, I go into the room where I keep the birds, and then, listening to them sing, I get as close to happiness as I can expect. I stay an hour, and then I cover their cages. And then they know it's time to sleep. And they sleep. Even on the stormiest of nights. This was a stormy night. Someone knocked at the front door. It was late. We know very few people. We kept to ourselves, mostly Elaine and I, so... I was worried a little when I opened the door. Yes?
You mind if I come in, Mr. Warner? It's kind of damp out.
No, of course not. You seem to know me.
I do, don't I?
But I don't know you.
My name is Brule. Chester Brule.
Chester Brule. I still don't know.
Remember? It doesn't matter.
What did you want?
Nice place you got here. Much nicer than Cragmount.
Cragmount?
Cragmount Asylum for the insane.
You work there?
I used to work there.
This is all very interesting.
Funny thing happened just before I left. One of the inmates escaped. This baby was a homicidal maniac.
Homicidal?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't see what all this has to do with me.
I didn't say it had. There was one funny thing about this inmate.
Was there?
Loved canaries. Loved to listen to him sing. Psychiatrists at Cragmount found it very interesting. Birdsong was the only thing that kept the murderous impulses down. Mr. Warner, I'm out of work.
That's too bad.
You're not doing badly. Nice house, furnishings. Didn't I hear canaries singing before I come into the house?
Maybe you did.
So, 5,000 in the morning?
No.
I think yes. Otherwise, Cragmount will be happy to hear from me. 11 Crescent Place. Room 2B. In the morning. You can show me to the door now.
Of course.
Good night, Mr. Warner. Till we meet again.
I watched him go out into the blackness, and the blackness swallow him. The birds were quiet. I thought for a moment of taking the covers off the cages and letting the birds sing, and then I thought that tonight it might be better if I didn't let the birds sing.
Okay. Couldn't wait till morning, huh? I didn't expect it. Wait, that knife. No! Ah! I shouldn't have let it. Surprise!
A bit of bad night. I couldn't have slept more than 2 or 3 hours. Fortunately, Elaine and I had separate rooms. And at breakfast the next morning, she was fresh and young and beautiful.
Carl?
Huh?
Why are you staring at me in that funny way?
Nothing. You really shouldn't read at meals.
Oh, it's only the paper. So many exciting things happen. I can't wait till I get to them.
Still...
Oh, isn't that terrible?
What is?
A man was murdered last night. Not very far from here. Crescent Place.
Crescent Place.
Such an odd name. Chester Brule. Oh, your coffee cup.
Sorry, I wish you wouldn't read the paper.
It says that his canary, he had a canary car, was singing when the landlady found the body. Oh, that's pathetic.
Elaine, I told you not to read that paper.
But,
Give it to me.
Look how you're tearing the paper up. What's the matter?
I'm nervous this morning.
Don't remember you ever having been like this before.
I told you I was nervous.
Now, look, darling, why don't you go into the aviary? Listen to the birds for a while. You love them so, and they have such a nice effect on you.
I went into the apiary as she suggested, and I listened to the birds. But it was quite a little while before I stopped trembling.
Carl,
Yes, dear?
come into the kitchen.
All right.
I've been washing the breakfast dishes, darling, and found this among them.
Carving knife.
This isn't that funny. Besides, look at it. The blade's all covered with brown stains.
I see.
Sure, I washed it after dinner last night. Did you use it for anything?
No, darling. Now, give it to me and I'll wash it now.
Oh, I can do it. I just wondered, but... Oh, the door. Will you...
No, you give me the knife. And you answer the door. I said you answer the door.
All right. There's nothing to shout about. I don't know what's the matter with you this morning.
I washed the knife. Quickly, but carefully. Very quickly, but very carefully. Didn't take long. The stains haven't hardened much. The brown stains.
Carl,
Yes?
someone to see you. A man.
What does he want?
He didn't say, except that it was important.
I'll go see him.
He said he's a lieutenant. A Lieutenant Gregg. From the police.
There are 17 steps between the kitchen and our living room. I know because I counted them while I was walking to see Lieutenant Gregg of the police. 17 steps to make my face polite, relaxed, smiling. But would I be able to hide the trembling of my hands? You're Lieutenant Gregg. My wife said you wanted to see me.
Yes, that's right. Mr. Warner, did you know a man named Chester Brule?
Chester Brule? Why, I can't say offhand. I've got such a bad memory for names. I may or I may not. Why?
He's murdered last night. You see, we found your name and address in Brule's address book.
I see.
We thought you might be able to help us.
Well, the fact that my name is in his address book doesn't
prove anything? Well, of course not. Would the fact that Brule used to be an attendant in an insane asylum mean anything to you?
Why should it mean anything to me?
Well, I didn't say it should, Mr. Warner. I just thought...
Well, it doesn't.
Oh, I guess that's that. You know, funny thing. There was a bird cage in Brule's room with a canary in it, singing its head off.
Huh? Well, lots of people are fond of canaries.
Sure. What was funny about it is that Brule's landlady swears Brule never had a bird.
That is funny.
Way it looks, the killer knifed Brule and then left the cage and the bird in it behind him. Doesn't make any sense. Unless you figure that the guy who killed Brule was insane.
The birds have been quiet, but the slam of the door maybe started them off. And I knew that somehow I would have to get the cage and the bird in it out of Brule's room. I didn't know how I'd do it, but I'd do it no matter how insane it was. It was dark when I got to Crescent Place. Dark on a lonely street. There was no one in front of the house. Nothing to show that a man had died inside the night before with a knife in his throat. The door was open. There was a dim light in the vestibule, leaving the stairs beyond in darkness. I went up them to the second floor. There's no one in the corridor. The door of 2B opened, and I went in. There was no light. The moon cast a pale glimmer over the room, and someone in a chair near the window. For a moment I thought it was Brule, but there was no blood. And then I realized it was a policeman in uniform, asleep. The cage was near the sleeping man. Would his sleep be sound enough? I reached out, lifted the cage, reached the door, and closed it. I was safe.
Carl?
Yes?
Oh, I'm so glad you phoned. That Lieutenant Gregg is here again.
Gregg? Where?
In the bird room.
Why did you take him to the bird room?
He asked me to.
All right. Oh, Lieutenant Gregg?
Oh, hello, Mr. Warner. Quite a collection of canaries you've got here.
Yes, I have.
Were you home all last night?
Of course. This is still about Chester Brule's murder?
Mm-hmm. Say, remember my mentioning I thought that the man who'd killed Brule and left the bird cage behind him must be insane?
Well, you did say something of the sort.
Yeah. And then there's the fact that Brule used to work with insane people. Begins to mesh, huh?
Oh, I know very little about police work.
I hope I'm not boring you. Anyway, it occurs to me maybe I'd better take a trip up to Cragmount.
I suppose going to asylums or any place else is just part of your job.
Oh, sure. Did I mention Cragmount was an asylum?
Why, you must have.
Yeah. Well, I'll run up there, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get all the answers. What do you think?
I think I'm going to. What is it, Elaine?
Well, it's so late, I thought.
Oh, I can take a hint, Mrs. Warner. Don't bother showing me to the door.
He seems like a very nice man. Carl, stop it.
What?
That stare. If I didn't know you so well, I'd say you were going mad.
Go to bed, Elaine.
All right, darling. Oh, Carl, look.
Look at what?
Through the window, the garden. Lieutenant Gregg didn't go away. He's down there.
Get away from that window. Go to bed.
I'm not going. But he looks as if he's waiting down there for something. For what, Carl?
I knew what he was waiting for. I knew I mustn't go to sleep. Things happen when you sleep. Terrible things. But I hadn't slept well the night before. Not well at all. And there'd been the strain of the day. And it was night now. Still. Terribly still.
Gargan?
Yeah. Oh. I was right. Was right, only it wasn't Gargan. Oh.
Such a lovely morning, Carl.
Lovely.
I looked for Lieutenant Gregg as soon as I got up. He wasn't in the garden anymore.
He must have got tired, gone home, or back to headquarters, wherever policemen go.
Oh, dear. That's the Swenson's dog. He's gone into our garden again. I'll have to get him out.
Elaine, don't.
Darling, you pick up all the flowers looking for bones.
Elaine. Maybe he won't be there tonight. Elaine! Where are you?
On the street.
What?
Look. Lieutenant Gray. His throat.
Come inside.
Oh, right.
The kitchen.
Tom, where are you going?
The kitchen.
What are you doing?
The drawer. Silverware. Yes. It's here.
The carving knife.
That's right.
Carl, I thought you washed it last night. I guess you didn't.
You'd be wrong. I did wash it last night.
But the stains are still there. The brown stains.
These are fresh ones, Elaine. Get out of my way.
But...
I've got to go to the bird room.
Carl, please don't go away from me. Carl!
I was holding the carving knife in my hand. Started to put it down, and then I held on to it anyway. It would make taking the covers off the cages awkward, but I held on to it anyway. And the birds were still. They remained still, unless I took the covers off. Elaine.
Carl, you must tell me what's wrong.
Don't come any closer. Elaine, please, not any closer.
You've got that knife in your hand.
Yes.
The one with the brown stain. Oh, Carl.
Don't say anything.
Carl, the night before last.
Elaine, don't ask questions. That's dangerous.
You were out of the
No.
house last night when Lieutenant Gregg was
I was
killed.
asleep.
You have the knife, Carl.
Yes.
Give it to me.
No.
Please, Carl.
No. Stay where you are.
All right. You may keep the knife. Because, look, Carl.
A revolver.
Yes. Lieutenant Gregg's revolver.
Elaine, give that to me.
Oh, no. I took it from Lieutenant Gregg last night. After he stopped crying. They always cry when you...
Elaine.
Didn't like it the way you've been looking at me, Carl. You were thinking that maybe you'd have to send me back to Craigmount.
I wasn't.
You were, Carl. I know you were. After Chester Brule died.
Elaine.
Stop where you are.
All right.
Keep your hands away from the bird cage. Don't pull off the cover. Oh, Carl, I've hurt you.
Never mind.
But I didn't want to. Are you going to cry? Like the others?
It was my fault. Loved you too well. I really killed those others. Not you, my darling.
That's a very silly thing to say. And I'll become quite angry. I am quite angry. Carl, you silly. You pulled the covers off the cage. Carl! Carl, I'm speaking to you. Those birds, I don't like them. Carl? Oh, poor Carl. He's dead. I loved him, and now he's dead. But anyway, he didn't cry. He didn't cry.
Well, there it is. And so sweet. The story of a couple of lovebirds who, instead of billing and cooing, went in for killing and shooting. Of course, it was all little Elaine's idea. All Carl did was cover up. Well, friends, it's time once again to close that creaking door. Until next week at this same time, when we'll be back with a little hunk of horror. You'll be sure to listen, won't you? Until next week, then. Good night. Pleasant dream. Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called Green Light.
You wouldn't be a railroader, would you? No, I was pretty sure you wasn't. Well, I can usually tell a rail a mile away, but, well, you look kind of as if you might have been one time or something. Oh, it's a compliment. Got to be a mighty good man to be a railroader. Not as good as you used to have to be, of course, but it's still a man-sized job. Me? Sure, once I was. Yeah, in my time, you could pretty near always tell a railroader. Know how? Well, sir, if he had a thumb or a couple of fingers missing, you could tell he was a brakeman. One of them old-time coupling pins, you know. More three-fingered brakeman. And if you seen a fellow with one leg, you was pretty certain he's a railroader. Yeah, 'cause there wasn't so many wars and automobiles and things like that to cut a fellow's leg off then. Pretty near always, he left it on a railroad track summers. Sure, that's how I lost mine. Yeah. Lost it a long time ago. Long time ago that was, see? Phil Connor's my name. Pleased to meet you. I'm getting on the chief at 12:01. First time I ever been on one of them streamliners. First time I ever rode behind a diesel engine, too. We're going to California. Yeah, meet my girl. I ain't seen her in 42 years. She married another party, and then he passed away last May, and she got to writing to me. So I'm going to go see her. Got rid of a lot of my pride in 42 years. Yeah, sure have. Pride? Oh. Well, I wasn't going to let her marry a fella with one leg, see? She bawled and boo-hooed about it, but I was a young fool, and I went away and left her. Look at all them years wasted. Now, I got some good years left, don't you fool yourself, even if I have got only one leg. I guess you might say I lost it in a railroad accident. Then again, you might not. That was part of the reason why I ran away and left Addie, you see. When I lost my leg. People thought I had bats in my belfry. Yeah, I don't suppose you'd chew tobacco, do you? I'm trying to break myself of the habit before I see Addie. She was always set against it, you see. But I got a couple of days before I get to California, and I guess one more left. She won't hurt me. Don't have cuspidors and depots anymore, it seems to me. Oh, well, an old-time shark don't spit much anyhow. I wasn't rightly a railroader, you see. I mean, I pounded brass. It's a telegrapher, a brass pounder. I was working on this little branch line down South Sea, working the night trick of this little bitty town, what is this lumber mill. 40, 50 people, practically all of them in the mill. But when the mill shut down, there ain't nobody much in the town. The day operator, he was Addie's brother, Ham Dorsey, his name was. They had a little house in town, and I roomed there. So I got to know Addie Dorsey. I tell you, these here deserted little towns. You ever been in one? Good gosh, at night all there is hooty owls and squirrels. Jumping up and down on the roof and hooting, raising a racket so you think nobody could sleep. But you can sleep all right. This night trick was a peach. Only had one train through after 11 o'clock. Way freight to come through any time between 11:30 and 1:30, depending on how many cars they had to set off down the line. Had to do their own switching on this here line. Only had 5 locomotives, old-fashioned 240s, looked like to come out of the ark. Well, after I got used to the hooty owls and the other animals, I found I could give me quite a bit of shut-eye after this way freight come through. Never was much traffic on the wire. Sometimes I'd sit and talk with some of the other operators a while. We never had much to talk about, so I'd sit and read a while and drowse off to sleep. Put my head right down alongside the sounder. The minute I'd hear him a call, I'd be wide awake. Yeah, a lot of old brass pounders can do that. You can set off a giant firecracker alongside their ear, and they won't turn a hair. But leave their own call come through, and they're on the ball like that. Well, then after I'd been on a job a couple of months, Addie Dorsey, she got into the habit of coming past and bringing me a bucket of coffee along about 9 o'clock. And we'd sit and talk. Oh, there is a cuspidor. Me and Addie, we was sitting there this one night in the summertime. It was kind of hot and sultry. The hooty owls and the squirrels had got discouraged and gone to bed or something and couldn't hear a sound anyplace. We was just sitting there at the edge of the light that come from the drop light over the table, talking kind of quiet.
Feels like a storm coming up.
We could stand some rain, I guess.
Is that so?
Oh, excuse me, Addie.
Hope it isn't the company.
Oh, didn't get much sleep today. Catch me a little after the way freight pulls through. Hope he's halfway on time tonight.
He never is.
He sure ain't.
Don't you ever get tired of this kind of job, Phil?
I sure do.
I should think you would.
It's awful monotonous.
It isn't good for you.
What I'd like to get... I'd like to do is get me a job with one of the telegraph companies. I know a fellow down in Orleans. Frank Gibbons, his name is. His sign is J.B. He's only been working for Postal 8 months, and he gets $96 a month.
Goodness.
Wears a stiff collar every day, lives on the fat of the land. 2 years ago, he was just a common brass pounder like me.
I think it'd make you ashamed of yourself.
Oh, I got plenty of time.
Nobody's got plenty of time.
Huh? Wait a minute. Oh, it's just Jim Nolan down the Grove side and talking to the dispatcher. What was you saying about time?
Said nobody's got plenty of time.
How's that?
Well, you can't ever tell what's going to happen. You know, the best laid plans are mice and men.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so.
Hate to see you wasting your time in a place like this.
Do?
Certainly do. Bad enough my brother Ham, but he's 44 years old, and he's always going to be an old batch. But you...
I'm not going to be any old batch.
Well, you're not going to find many girls that'll marry you, unless you're making a decent salary.
Would you marry me if I was making money, Abby?
Why, of course.
You would?
If you was making $96 a month, I'd marry you in a minute, Phil Connors. If you're to ask me.
Well, I'd be darned.
Well, you see.
You know, I might do just that, Addie. Would you like living in New Orleans or Peoria or someplace like that?
I've seen pictures of New Orleans.
I know a fella in Peoria, dispatcher for the Big Four. That's a nice town.
I'd like to go out west.
Well, maybe I could find a job out there. They say it's a coming country.
Don't know how it is for raising a family, though. My heavens. Is that thunder?
I thought I seen lightning.
Oh, I gotta get home before the storm.
Oh, it ain't here yet.
Well, I better go.
Oh, no, wait a little.
Why?
Why, keep the company, talk.
Oh, I don't want to get caught in a storm.
Oh, maybe it'll blow over.
Well, I'll wait a few minutes.
Sure, sit down. Have another cup of coffee.
No, thanks. My. Did you see that lightning?
Pretty, wasn't it?
Oh, it scares me.
Well, set so you can't see out the window. Over here.
Well, I better go.
No, stay.
Well, real comfortable here, ain't it?
Turn your chair around, Danny. Like that, you see? Now you can't see the lightning. Is it better?
Oh, it's fine. Phil, I gotta go before the storm hits.
Sure. Addie, you were saying something about raising a family.
Now, we're not married yet.
I know.
Like as not, we won't be. You probably got another girl somewhere.
No, I haven't.
You sure you ain't?
Well, you're the first girl I ever seen that I'd want to marry, Addie.
Are you popping the question, Phil?
I popped it a while ago. You said yes.
If you get a good job.
Get a good job, Addie.
Well, then.
What'd you do, if I was to ask you for a kiss?
Expect I'd give it to you. Seeing we're engaged. Oh, Phil, we'll be so happy.
We sure will, honey.
Oh, Phil, you devil, you.
What's the matter?
It's raining.
Why, sure. It's been raining for 5 minutes.
Oh, you did that on purpose.
Well, I didn't make it rain.
Yeah, but you made me turn away from the window so as I couldn't see it rain.
Well, I want you to stay here a while.
I got a notion to go right home in the rain anyhow.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gracious. It's just pouring.
Well, you'll have to stay here a while now.
Oh, I could kill you.
Oh, come on. It ain't so unpleasant as all that, is it?
Well, could be worse, I suppose. Dear, this storm will probably last all night.
Well, hardly ever does.
Oh, hand me some coffee. Might as well make the best of it.
Sure. Coffee's cold, I'm afraid.
Oh, I don't mind.
I'll put sugar in it. How big a family was you figuring on us having?
Oh, not a very big one. Big families are awful expensive to raise. 2 boys, maybe, and 3 girls?
I wouldn't mind that.
What was that?
Whistle?
Oh, it's only 10 o'clock. Can't be the way freight, can it?
Oh, I never heard of them being that early. Wait, I'll go look.
You got a green light for him?
Sure, practically always got a green light.
You see him?
It was raining awful hard. Yeah, there's his headlight.
Well, if it's that freight and they're going to stop here, I'm going to run it. I want that crew to...
Taint him. And he ain't going to stop, whoever he is. Why, he's really highballing. It's an extra. I can see his green markers.
Well, who could it be?
Well, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Let's go outside.
Well, hurry up.
Hey, look at that engine. Well, that's a 6/8-wheeler.
What about it?
Well, he ain't got any of them on his line.
You suppose you could have got lost or something?
I don't know, but he sure got the Johnson bar over in the corner hole. He better ease up time he gets to that curve at Reno Hill.
That's the funniest thing I ever heard of.
Me too. Look at that booger roll. Why, he must be making 50 miles an hour. If he ain't careful... I knowed it. Run and get your brother quick, Addie. He's left the iron. So, I quick run inside and got the dispatcher and told him about this here train and the way he piled up, and all he said was, "What train?" appears he didn't know no more about it than I did, so I ran outside and set the board red against the way freight so as he wouldn't pile up on top of this here wild train. I got me a lantern, and I run down the track like a bat out of the bat place, and Addie, she was waking up her brother and the rest of the people in town. The rain was coming down fit to kill. Well, sir, you know what? I run pretty near a mile down the track. That train wasn't 500 feet away from the depot when he left the iron. But I looked high and low, and there wasn't a sign of nothing. Not hiding their hair, that train. Now, what do you think of that? Well, Addie and her brother sure roused up the town, and a couple of fellas got out a hand car, and they pumped it all the way down to the next flag stop. They couldn't find hide nor hair of it neither. And the wires was jumping. Everybody from the master mechanic down to the section bosses was asking questions. And if you think I didn't have a great time answering them, man. Well, you see, I couldn't call in Addie for a witness. Well, how would that look? You know. Oh, she wanted to get me out of the sandy I got myself into, and her brother Ham said she should, too, but yeah, I wouldn't leave her do it. Well, I got off with a warning. I had a good reputation for soberness, you see, so everybody finally agreed I had a nightmare or something, and they jumped up and down on me for falling asleep. Then I took a lot of kidding from the other operators along the line. Got pretty doggone tired of it, too. Well, Ham and me, we had a lot of discussion about it, and Ham, he said it probably was a ghost train. Said he'd heard about ghost trains before. Like President Lincoln's funeral train that they see every once in a while, running along slow in the night, all draped in black, and the bell tolling like a church bell. Ever heard of that? Well, you ask old-time railroaders sometime. Well, one thing was, Addie never come around to the depot nights anymore. But we talked a lot.
Don't you see, Phil? This is the best time for you to get out of here now and go somewhere else and get a job.
I don't see it, Addie.
Well, everybody's making jokes now about you.
It ain't no joke to me, Addie.
I know, Phil. Didn't I see it with my own eyes?
Well, sure, but...
But what?
Well, I ain't going to leave here till I find out what this thing was.
Oh, Phil.
Listen, Addie. A thing like this can follow a man all his life. Well, I'd go asking for a job with Postal or Western Union or somebody. First thing, they'd look me up, and people would tell them about this, and, well, where'd I be? No, sir, I'm going to stay here and find out about this here ghost train or whatever it was.
But how are you going to find out, Phil?
I don't know. I keep looking.
Phil, don't you love me?
Huh? Sure.
Well, then won't you please?
Honey, I gotta figure this out my own way. I'll never have a good enough job to marry you if I have this ghost train thing hanging over me all my life.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, I got it kind of doped out. I figure this here was some kind of unlawful thing. What? I don't know, but there's something queer about it.
You don't believe it was a ghost?
Ain't no such thing.
Well, we heard a crash.
Did we?
Huh?
Mightn't that have been a extra loud thunder crash?
My goodness, Phil, I never thought of that.
See?
Phil, I bet you...
You see?
But what?
Well, I got it in my mind that somebody's in cahoots with somebody else on this streak of rust here. And whoever it is would be glad to see me get out of here.
Goodness, Phil.
So I'm not going to go, see? They'll pull this trick again. And I'm going to be ready for them.
How?
I'm going to set a red board against them. Ain't no hoghead in the world, crook or no crook, could run through a red signal.
And then what?
Then I got me a .38 revolver, and I'm going to see what's going on. Then maybe I'll get me a reward. So, that's how I got my leg cut off. That's how it happened 42 2 years afterwards to be going to California to meet my girl, Addie. About a week later, I was drowsing in the depot about 10:30. I hear the whistle. Well, I never waited a second. I reached out to the lever and I swung it around. I could see the reflection outside change from green to red. Man, I could hear them brakes going on from right there. So I turned out the light over my table and I reached in the drawer and I took out the .38. And I went outside. And that big 6.8 wheeler eased right up alongside of me. And the only light there was from his headlight up ahead, the little green marker lights on the engine, and the red from a semaphore. So I just stood there, waiting. And nothing happened. Nobody said nothing for the longest time. And then a great big fellow was standing right there by my side. He surprised me so I dropped the revolver. He just laughed.
Well, you stopped us, boy.
I sure did.
Well, that's fine.
Who are you?
Listen, boy, we gotta get going.
And I was kicking around the cinders for my revolver, but I couldn't find it. He said again.
Listen, boy, we gotta get going.
What do you mean, we?
You and me.
Oh, no, you don't, mister.
Sure, boy. I gotta get me a fireman.
What are you talking about?
Give me a green light, boy, and climb aboard.
I won't do it.
Oh, sure you will.
And sure enough, I did. I don't know how or why I've done it, but I turned around, I set the board clear, the light was green again. Then I felt myself taking hold of the grab irons, and I climbed up into the cab. I hit the deck. The engineer, he says,
"Grab a shovel, boy. Get to work. We're gonna roll."
And I felt something like a kind of song going through my head. And he leans over and he says,
"What's your name, boy?"
And I told him, "Bill Connors." And I said, "What's yours, mister?" And he laughed and he said,
"Why, my name's Jones, boy. Casey Jones." He said to the fireman, "Boy, you better jump, 'cause there's two big locomotives that are gonna to bump."
Sure. They bumped all right. I didn't jump in time. And Addie found me there on the right-of-way with my leg cut off. There wasn't hide nor hair or any train wreck or anything. Just nothing. Hand me crutches, would you?
You have listened to Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper. The man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell.
And Addie was Ann Seymour. The engineer was Gus Gordon. And the singer was Bill Huggins. Original music for Quiet Please is composed and played by Albert Berman. Now, for a word about next week's Quiet Please, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Next week's Quiet Please is called Pathetic Fallacy, in which I shall attempt to dramatize a figure's speech. I shall probably be about as much surprised as you are.
Next Monday night, Quiet Please will be heard at a new time over most of these mutual stations. Consult your local paper for time and station.
And so, until next week, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell.
Quiet Please comes to you from New York and will be heard next week at 9:30. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery. A time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the Haunting Hour. Ptolemy's grave. Over the tomb which held the mummy of Ptolemy III, these words were written: Death to him who disturbs the everlasting resting place of these sacred remains. 2 weeks ago, William Cartwright, a famous Egyptologist, defied this curse. He bought the mummy, had it sent to his home. That same day, he slowly walked down the stairs from his upstairs study. His wife, Martha, heard his familiar footsteps in the hall, over the stairs, but she did not know that her husband was then walking into a nothingness, that he would completely disappear, leaving no trace of his whereabouts. Now, it is 2 o'clock the following morning. The Cartwright house is still. A taut feeling of mystery hovers in the air. Martha Cartwright is dreaming of her missing husband. And in her dream, as in her waking hours, she is haunted by the fear of Ptolemy's curse.
William.
Martha, I hear you. Do you hear me?
William, where are you?
Downstairs. I'm downstairs, Martha.
Downstairs? Here in our house?
In our study. Come to the study, Martha.
I'll come, William.
Here in the study, Martha. Come to the study.
Yes, William. The study. I'm here, William. Here at the study door.
Look for me.
Where are you, William?
Look for me, Martha.
Darkness. Can't see you.
Come over the carpet to the mummy case. To the mummy case. The mummy of Ptolemy III.
Yes. Yes, William, I'm here.
Look at the mummy closely, Martha.
I am looking, William.
Don't you see?
All I see is a strange, misty light. Like a halo. Shining, glowing about the mummy.
Lean forward then, Martha. Look closely. Look closely.
No, I can't. I can't.
You must, Martha. Look at the mummy's face.
The face?
Can't you see, Martha? Can't you see what it is?
No. No, it's just... I don't know what you mean.
The features, Martha. Don't you see anything different about the features?
Gray, shrunken, shriveled skin. Gray and horrible.
But the lips, the forehead, the eyes. Don't you see, Martha? Have you forgotten so soon?
Forgotten? I remember you, William. I'll always remember you.
But if the eyes were open, if they were open, Martha, could you... Look, now they are open, Martha.
Yeah. I see. Now I see. William, the mummy has your face.
Yes, Martha, that's it. The mummy and I, we're the same, Martha. The same.
The same? Dr. John Crandall.
This is he. Who's this, Martha?
Yes, John. Look, I had to call you. I'm so afraid. I thought the operator could never get my call through.
Yes, I know. The long-distance lines are pretty well tied up. What's the matter, Martha? What time is it?
It's very late, but I couldn't wait till morning. John, something's happened.
Have they found William?
Yes. No. I don't know. Look, John, I need you badly. I think I'm going out of my mind.
Oh, nonsense. What happened?
I've got to see you, John, please, tonight. I'm asking you this not only as a patient, but as a friend.
But I can't come into town tonight, Martha. Oh, you're all right. It's just your imagination.
Oh, no, I thought it was a dream.
Well, I've got a job here that's got to be finished, but I can leave the hospital early in the morning.
Come as soon as you can, please.
I promise, Martha. Now, take hold of yourself. Control is the word. Remember.
I'll try, John. I'll try. It can't be. It can't be.
Hello.
Is this Mr. Kroll?
Yes?
This is Martha Cartwright, Mr. Kroll. I'm sorry to wake you up if I did.
Oh, no. That is all right.
I've got to see you first thing in the morning. It's important. It's urgent.
Why, of course, Mrs. Cartwright.
Will you come here to my house at 9 o'clock?
At 9. I will be there. But what is the trouble?
It's about that mummy you sold my husband.
Oh, I see.
Don't fail me, Mr. Kroll.
Oh, no. I will be there without fail.
Mrs. Cartwright?
You're Mr. Kroll.
Yes.
Come in, please.
Thank you.
You're the gentleman who sold my husband the mummy, aren't you?
Yes?
Well, I want you to take it away.
Take it away?
Yes, immediately. You're here right away.
But, Mrs. Cartwright...
I'm sorry. I'm terribly upset.
No, I understand.
How soon can you take it away?
Perhaps tomorrow morning.
Oh.
But what do you want me to do with it?
I don't know. I don't care. Sell it or give it away. Do anything you want with it.
Well, that will be very difficult. You see, one reason your husband was able to buy it was... Well, perhaps we'd better not discuss it right now.
You mean it's cursed?
Yes. Misfortune has always been attached to it.
Do you believe in this curse?
I have specialized in the art and civilization of the pharaohs for 20 years. My experience has taught me to respect their ideas. Yes, Mrs. Cartwright, I believe in the curse.
Can you tell me what the curse says?
Death to him who disturbs these sacred remains. A death of torture, of maddening pain. Death in its strangest form.
And now that my husband is dead, I may be the next victim. You must take it back. Please, Mr. Kroll, I can't have it here another night. I haven't slept for days. I can't keep my eyes open, but I'm afraid to sleep.
Why don't you leave this house until tomorrow?
I can't. I'm expecting my doctor.
Then perhaps you will be able to take a nap before he arrives.
Perhaps. Well, thank you, Mr. Kroll. You'll take it tomorrow, then.
Yes. Goodbye, Mrs. Cartwright.
Oh, William.
Death in its strangest form.
Not you, William.
A death of torture, of maddening pain.
They couldn't, William. They couldn't.
Martha? Do you hear me?
William.
Yes, Martha?
Where are you?
I'm in the study, Martha. You remember where you saw me last night?
No. Oh, it was a dream last night. You were in the mummy case then. It couldn't be.
Yes, I'm still there, Martha. Come and you'll see.
No, William, I couldn't go there again. No.
I haven't disappeared. I'm here in the house. You want to be with me? I'm here in the study, Martha.
I can't come to you. I'm afraid.
Afraid of me, your husband?
Yes, William, I know. I'll come to you.
Down here, Martha, in the study.
I'm coming to you, William. I'll do anything you say. But don't make me look at the face.
You must, Martha.
No, William, I'll do anything. Not that, please. No, not that. No.
Martha.
Please don't make me. Well, please, I can't do it.
Martha, wake up. It's John.
No.
John Crandall.
I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. I don't want to look at that face again. Please don't make me, William. Please, please.
Martha.
John Crandall.
You're walking in your sleep, Martha. I'm sorry I slapped you, but I had to wake you.
Oh, you're here, John. Thank heavens you're here.
Is there anything left that you haven't told me, Martha?
That's all I know, John. I'm not going crazy, am I?
No, Martha. As a psychiatrist, I can tell you that you're not going crazy. This is all the result of the shock of Will's disappearance.
But that doesn't explain the curse, John. What about...
Nonsense. Civilized people don't believe in curses. Those statements were inscribed on tombs to frighten away grave robbers.
So hard for me to believe that now.
Martha, I want you to make an experiment with me.
What?
Let's go into the study together and look at the mummy.
Oh, no,
but
I
you've
can't.
got to. It's the only way you can overcome your fear. Now, just let me prove that it's only your imagination and nothing more.
Please,
if
no.
you want me to help you, Martha, you have to help me, too. Come.
All right.
That's it. Here's the study. Where's the light switch?
John, wait. Don't turn on the light.
But, Martha,
It's there, John. You see it? Do you see that misty light?
It's just the moon coming through the blinds.
No, it's the mummy. Look at it.
The mummy?
You see it? That gray light that shines around it. I'm not sleeping, John. I'm here with you. And look at that face. Look closely, John.
I am,
You
Martha.
see that face? William's face? As though it were dead for centuries? Is this a nightmare, too?
No, it's not a nightmare. I see it.
Then that mummy is William's body. It's the curse of Ptolemy the Third. That you laughed at, John. You laughed.
Martha.
Now William's gone. He's dead.
Martha, please.
And I'll be cursed after John was.
You don't believe it.
I do. Why didn't he believe it when they told him? Now it's too late, don't you see? Now I'll die as William died. Because now the mummy belongs to me.
Dr. Cartwright, a famous Egyptologist, purchased a mummy called Ptolemy III, despite the fact that it was known to be cursed. The same day, he vanished. Now his wife has been suffering from the delusion that the mummy has acquired Cartwright's features. In fact, is Cartwright. Dr. Crandall, a psychoanalyst and a friend of the Cartwrights, has tried to disprove this, only to find that he, too, notices a strange resemblance. Now, we find Dr. Crandall attending Mrs. Cartwright in a hospital.
It's daylight, isn't it?
Yes. How do you feel?
Better. What happened to me?
Well, you were suffering from lack of sleep, Martha, and your nerves were so unstrung that I thought it best to bring you here for a while.
Do you believe in the curse now, John? After what you saw?
No?
But you saw the same thing I did?
Yes.
How do you explain it?
I'm not sure that I can explain it yet, Martha. But after I brought you here, I went back to the house again to look at the mummy.
And?
It was gone.
Go? Oh, I suppose Mr. Kroll called for it.
Who is Mr. Kroll?
He's the man through whom William bought the mummy. I asked him to take it away.
I see. Well, I'm going to leave you now, Martha. There are several things I want to take care of. But I'll be back this evening, and I want you to come with me to Mr. Kroll's place.
Why?
I want to see that mummy again.
Oh, but John, why must I do that?
Are you still afraid of the curse?
Yes.
Well, I still intend to prove to you that there is no such thing. I'm going to buy that mummy.
Good evening, Mr. Kroll.
Oh, Mrs. Cartwright. And...
This is Dr. John Crandall.
Oh, good evening.
How do you do, sir? Mrs. Cartwright brought me here so that I could see the mummy of Ptolemy III.
Of course. May I ask why you wish to see it?
I'm interested in buying it.
I've tried to convince him that it's cursed, Mr. Kroll, but he doesn't want to believe it.
Many men have refused to believe it. It is only fair that we inform those who intend to buy, and the rest is entirely up to them. Now, if you step this way, please. The mummy is in my workshop.
Thank you. I notice you have many other mummies here, don't you, Mr. Kroll?
Oh, yes. I am known as an expert in repairing them. They are sent from museums and collectors all over the world. And which is Ptolemy III? In the sarcophagus, right here. Will you open it? Why, of course, certainly. Now, just a moment, Martha. Don't go away. I want you to look at it.
John!
It's very important. There you are, sir. There it is. Martha, is that the mummy we looked at last night? You see, I'm not sure. I saw it for only a few minutes.
It looks the same, but
But what?
the faces... the features are not so familiar.
How do you mean?
This one doesn't look like William.
Perhaps the light is too sharp here. Do you think you could turn the lights off for a second, Mr. Kroll?
No, Mr. Kroll. No, I'm afraid.
Martha, you know I'm not trying to hurt you any more than you've already been hurt by this whole affair. But I must get you to believe that there is no such thing as a curse of this kind. If you don't do as I say, your condition may grow even worse, beyond my control. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Kroll, will you turn off the light? Of course. Are you looking at the mummy in that sarcophagus, Martha?
Yes.
Do you see anything now?
No. It's so pitch black I can't see anything at all. Nothing.
I see.
John, you know I haven't been imagining all this.
What is it, Martha?
Over there. Look near that other wall. Face. That's William's, just as we saw it last night, John. With that glow all around it. And it's moving. Look, it's moving. John, make him turn on the light. John!
Kroll, will you turn on the light? Please, hurry. Why, certainly.
Oh, John.
All right, Martha, all right. We'll get you out of here. Will you open the door, Mr. Kroll?
Why, of course, Doctor.
And could I ask you to get Mrs. Cartwright a glass of water?
A pleasure, I'm sure.
Martha, listen to me carefully. I've got to explain quickly. As soon as you leave here, go straight to the nearest telephone and call the police. Tell them to come here immediately.
I don't understand.
I know now that William was murdered.
What?
Yes, Kroll killed him, and I'm going to stay here with him until the police arrive.
I beg your pardon, I have the water.
Thank you. Now, drink this, Martha, and take the pill I just gave you.
Yes.
That's it. Now I think you'd better go home, and don't forget what I told you.
Yes, John, I'll go home. Goodbye, Mr. Kroll.
Goodbye, madame.
Oh, it's terrible, sir. She's completely obsessed with the fear of that mummy, and it's destroying her.
She loved her husband very much, I'm sure.
Of course. But more than anything else, it's her insane fear of that curse.
And is that the reason you want to purchase the mummy, Dr. Crandall?
Precisely.
In that case, maybe I can help you.
You can?
Yes, let us talk about it. But first, would you like to have a drink? I notice you are rather fatigued after what just has happened.
Yes, I guess I could stand something. Will you join me?
Why should I leave myself out? Why, of course, I have some very fine old spirits here. And now, there we are. I hope...
What's that?
What?
Is there somebody else in your workroom? I thought I heard a noise from there.
Well, there is nobody there that I know of. No. It must be your imagination, Doctor.
Oh.
Perhaps you yourself can take one of those pills you just administered to Mrs. Cartwright.
Yes, she has been a very trying patient, I'll admit.
To her early recovery.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, dear, there is nothing quite like it, is there, eh, Doctor?
Yes, it's very fine, I must say. Now, I don't like to hurry you, Mr. Kroll, but I'm very much interested in your idea to help Mrs. Cartwright.
Well, let us start at the beginning. When you first came into the shop with Mrs. Cartwright and she looked at the mummy, she did not see anything about it that frightened her. Is that right?
Right.
But when you suggested that we turn off the lights, it was then, for the first time, that she was aware of her, well, shall we say, her hallucination?
And what do you suggest?
I suggest that she have the mummy return to her house and then have her practice looking at it while the lights are on. And in this way, she might forget the hallucinations of seeing her husband's face.
But suppose she is not suffering from hallucinations, Mr. Kroll.
Well, you yourself saw what a change came over her when the lights were turned off.
But she was not frightened by the mummy you originally showed her.
No?
No, Mr. Kroll. Mrs. Cartwright saw the mummy you didn't want her to see. The mummy that you took from her house. The mummy that happens to be no mummy at all, but is, in fact, the body of her husband.
You know that?
That was why you hung a curtain in front of that mummy before we arrived.
And how did you know it was behind the curtain in my workroom?
Because of the glow of light around it. I could see that glow when the lights were turned off, so I took the curtain away completely. That was what made Mrs. Cartwright think it was moving.
Oh, I see. You are a very astute doctor. Could you tell me, perhaps, what you think made the misty glow?
That's simple. It was the natural body gases and fluids which you forgot to extract before you applied your preservative to Dr. Cartwright's corpse when you mummified.
You are quite right. That was the only mistake I made.
There are certain things that you can't hide, Kroll, such as your bleached hair and beard. Your real name is Cavarella, isn't it?
Oh, so you are not only a doctor, you are a detective as well.
Well, you see, I knew that William Cartwright was one of the foremost Egyptologists in this country. And as such, he was often called upon to testify as an expert witness in many fraudulent cases connected with the culture.
How so?
Yes. So I went through those cases with the district attorney on the assumption that one of those defendants was connected in some way with Cartwright's disappearance.
And the district attorney told you about me?
I found out that you had been convicted in one of those and sent to prison for 12 years on the basis of Cartwright's testimony.
Oh, well, we all make mistakes, Dr. Crandall. Even you.
What do you mean?
That drink you just had. It was poisoned. And in a few more minutes, perhaps, you will be dead. But I promise you one thing. I will not make the same mistake on your corpse that I did on Cartwright.
So, you... My throat.
You are beginning to feel the effect of the poison.
You can't get away with this. I have come back after I'm dead.
I am not the superstitious one, Doctor.
I can't breathe. My throat.
Dead. And now, before Mrs. Cartwright can return with the police, as you have instructed her,
Jonathan!
Mrs. Cartwright.
Yes, I want to talk to Dr. Crandall. He's killed him.
Yes. And I am very glad you have returned.
What are you going to do?
Well, you see, I was just about to change Dr. Crandall's features completely so that I would not have a repetition of the same trouble. Although I did not want to kill him, I guess I was a little hasty. It was you I should have killed, my dear Mrs. Cartwright.
Katrina?
So you were not to call the police, eh? But they will never find out. Not with my way.
You'll find out. You can't do this. You can't get away with it.
To the police, it will be just another disappearance. A disappearance caused by the curse of Ptolemy. People like to believe those things, Mrs. Cartwright.
No, you can't do it, Kroll.
For you, Dr.
You didn't believe me, Kroll. I told you I'd come back.
John!
Not true. It can't be.
You feel the pain, Kroll. The pain in your throat.
I feel it. But... Yes, I do. What is it?
In your chest, and now it's around your heart.
Oh, God. Yes, it is. Coming to my heart. I can't breathe. Oh, you're choking.
Dead? John, you're alive. I don't understand.
I know how trying this is for you, Martha, but listen to me. I'll explain
But
it.
I just...
I wasn't dead. Kroll offered me a poisoned drink, but I distracted his attention by pretending to hear something outside. When he went to look, I switched the drinks, and he was the one who got the poison.
When I saw you there, I thought the mummy's curse had worked again.
No, Martha. That curse we talked about so much was only Kroll's own invention, and it came back to him. If he'd never thought it up, he would never have died as a result of it.
From shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubt and fear. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory. In the haunting hour.